Grand Rising, everyone. Much love, much respect to everyone. We're going to start this off like we always do, playing some music and shouting out the sponsors. Let's go. Bay, Grand Rising. Peace and love, brother. Terry Seabrook, what's good? Appreciate it. Hey, shout out my brother, Uprising Aboriginal, Grand Rising. Much love and respect to you and the family, brother.
You need me to say, ask the world leaders about the oath they secretly take.
Hey, thank you, Terry, for letting me know. I forgot to share the sound. Put a one if you can hear the music now. Put the one in the chat if y'all can hear the music. Let's go.
Another slave for over 700 years, and I carried the Europe. I taught the Europeans to take a common back.
They just wanna keep us asleep. I know this shit suck, but when the fuck when niggas wake up, I know this shit tough. Every other step you take, you get your foot stuck. Cause they go and show you the fly with some niggas pushed up. Religion is a part of the system, my nigga, listen. If you ain't got control of your soul, then you's a victim. The Pope all over the net with politicians. The same politicians who sleeping with little children. Time to make them pay for what they did to the youth. But freedom of speech is nothing when they censoring truth. You ain't gotta show shit when you live in the proof. Giving support to your oppressors, man, you niggas is goofs. Time to fight fire with fire, get on some nigga shit. Time to get back what they stole, all of our innocence. Some people hate the way that I talk, this shit be spicy. But say a bunch of shit that ain't true, it isn't likely. They try to say your vision ain't true, but with your sight see. The best way to tear you apart is through your psyche. I give it to you real, what you need me to say. Ask the world leaders about the oath they secretly take. It's a plan that they got to keep us legally slaves. Paid labor overwhelming when you needed a break. If you think that I'm just talking, then bitch you lost. It's a war going on like rich versus poor. The rich keep getting rich while your broke ass starve. Feeding you little pennies at that punk ass job. Thinking cause you get it in tax, you need that income. Really I'm just stating the facts cause niggas been dumb. Your emotions are controlled by a system. Cause when I make a song full of hate, niggas listen. When I make a song about love, niggas skip it. They both from the soul, so really ain't nothing different. Today you gotta give it a fight to make the hate stop. Niggas on that ignorant shit gon' get a face shot. Believe what you wanna believe. A lot of niggas snakes, only going off of belief. A lot of shit is fake with 2 cans blazing, I'm ready for damnation. So tell a slave master I'm burning the plantation. You fuck niggas like to throw pain but can't take it. So all during war these flames remain sacred. Barrel to the root of your tongue, you niggas tasteless. Lights flying over your head, it ain't a spaceship. The reason why we fully equipped was information. It led us on the path that got us out of the matrix. Unity is power beyond, we should embrace it. But you could never bathe in the truth when you were racist. Speeding off what you was taught, then the brakes slip. Then you see it's nothing you thought, that shit is dangerous. A lot of people dying for what? That shit was aimless. It's kinda like a video game, it took stages. Just make sure these lanes remain nameless. Hood politics part 2, my name dangerous.
Hood politics. The nigga dangerous, you sponsor, day one. Grand run. Politics, motherfucker. Part 3 coming up. Welcome to Sister Angel A. Welcome, sister. Much love and respect to you as a family. Part 3.
Yeah. I came to politics with you for a minute, man. I came to kick it with you for a minute. Check it out. Shit getting out of control, I mean we been there. Hate, they disguise it as love, we call it sincere. They took us to a place where ain't none of this shit clear, and we just look stupid, wondering how we get here. This government got us in chains cause they don't love us. They got us separated by gangs over some colors. What hurts more is we keep trusting these motherfuckers and putting bullshit that they say over each other. It's a bad world, many cry in this sad world. A unicorn is compared to a black girl, or any child when you mix it making life swirl. Gems meet a diamond and dance to make the ice swirl. Nigga, don't waste your time trying to hate on me. If you can't deal with your pride, then stay away from me. I don't fuck with none of that dumb shit, you heard that? Don't believe we live on a globe, nigga, the earth flat. First you gotta love yourself, then take the earth back. Find what's really important and make it worth that. Too much time in your hands lead to a dirt nap, but niggas don't keep the same energy to exert that.
What kind of freedom is that? What kind of social or political system is it when a black man has no voice in court, has nothing on his side other than what the white man chooses to give him? My brothers and sisters, we have to put a stop to this, and it will never be stopped until we stop it ourselves.
Mind over matter, but none of that'll matter when in life you're trying to climb and a nigga pull a ladder. Believing in the myth when reality is shattered. The lies never end unless you serve it on a platter. America made you a slave, then call you monster. Erase everything that we paved and say we conquered. Willie lynching is a system that really harmed us. It raped women, left children without their fathers. America, land of the free, home of the great America, cage of the beast, home of a snake. But the fight don't stop when you gone. This shit a marathon. Everything they touch in this world, they made it terraform. The best piece of advice, stay about these pig sight. Fuck what goes on in the street. Nigga, just live life. You only get one of those, nigga. Don't play with that. Trying to dance away in the dark and never make it back. We got a lot of loving to do. Shit is getting worse. Hate run deep in these roots. It's like the shit is cursed. Murder everything you can name. The world gone berserk. Pedophilia real as fuck. It's even in the church. Music, we've been flaming it. No, it ain't no game with it. Just know I put my soul on the beat. When you banging it, this is for the shit that I see and won't play with it. Hood Politics Part 3. My name Dangerous.
They attack the victim, and then the criminals who attacked the victim accuse the victim of attacking you. This is American justice. This is American democracy. And those of you who are familiar with it know that in America, democracy is hypocrisy. Now, if I'm wrong, put me in jail. But if you can't prove that a democracy is not hypocrisy, then don't put your hands on me.
I'll play one more, then I'm gonna pass the mic over.
Yo, I just typed that in and it made the whole track.
I'll be in the chat listening. But yeah, I got a lot of back noise in the background. Grand rising, much love to everybody. Power to the motherfucking people, you know. Shout out my network family, man. We networking over here.
Can you hear me? Mic check, mic check.
Loud and clear, brother.
Okay.
Loud and clear. I got you right after this song. Welcome Angel A and my brother Alabama. Everybody in the chat.
Before you do that, brother, let me try to see if my volume works here. Because it's not, the sharing is not on. Right now it's not showing me. So I guess until you set me up.
Got you.
Yeah, because I
got you right now, brother. I thought I set you up already. I got you.
Yeah, because I need to check this volume here and make sure that it works this time.
You ready to do it now?
Okay, let's see what we got here. Yeah, can you see my screen?
You can't screen share until after I'm finished.
Okay.
Once
I wanted to
finish
try. Got you. So I'm gonna go back to you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I can't see it. Nope.
Yeah, I'll stop sharing. I'll come back to it because I need you to do a voice sound check for me. Go ahead.
Yes, sir, I got you. After this one song, let's go. Network family.
This that Nickelodeon, Mary Jane and opium, fresh from the FedEx chest, we got a load of them. Yeah, tear this shit down like depression. The moral of the story is you get the lesson. I'm colder than the weather in Nova Scotia. The flow is colder, turn down. You just like the lame dude. Get the shoulder, have these niggas swinging that Chris Rock when I pitch a boulder. My intentions was ill will. You cry. When I rap, get a pill feel. I can meditate and stay connected to the earth like a mill drill. They taught you to lie to your kids with Santa. I verse in the AI now and got the answer. Don't kill yourself trying to be me with the Tanner. My equal up getting blown like a blammer. I'm biased to the low comprehension, cause people claim vote to get a mention. And we don't wanna hear that. Keep that over there. Gotta do better. That's if you knew better. But I don't wanna bore y'all with the talk. Back to regular schedule showgramming, executive sessions. Welcome to the upper echelon of Megatrons. And it's dangerous. Laugh now, cry later. Can that fly shit you talk manifest when you falling from a skyscraper? A headshot could be a mind changer. I'm just a nigga that could hustle the hustle, getting my side paper. You know it's over when the nine sprayer. Oh, we robbing everything that you got. We operate as personality, just like your chain. It got faker, but the bullets like the ice in your drink. They shot chasers, too much talking. You throwing in places these cops take us. Prison is a mental design for time chambers. Procrastination is a disease for time takers. When it's war, they could never be law for line makers. Suck ahead, be stupid and cross and die. Player got the 4/5, waving you down like high hater. When your soul leave earth, you could let the sky take it, cause you thought shit was sweet. Laugh now, cry later.
Man, y'all know what it is, man. It's getting scary for you niggas out here, man. Know y'all feeling the pressure. This network shit, this shit real, man. Ain't nothing but real shit over here, nigga. Chris Cyphers just gave y'all a dome shot. Dangerous just put you niggas in a body bag. And now I'm about to bury you niggas, man. Yo, I'm back riding again. Dangerous and Cyphers, we gon' have to body him then. Yeah, these niggas done. We gon' have your whole crew on the run. This ain't a game, you niggas lame. Come and catch this flame, we ain't built the same. You niggas just like the cap of fame. The 40'll make your soul glow. Silencer on the end of the barrel, where the smoke blow. I need a heat check, Lila from the logo. Smoke inside, you can smell my mojo. Fucking with Drake Cobbs, that's a no-no. This that big three, Boss Brown and D-Wade. Looking to let the heat spray. We pull up to your block like it's D-Day. We ain't playing, nigga, this ain't EA. We like wolves when the niggas see prey, and move like Neo when the niggas see strays. I Tyreek kill the competition, chuck the deuces, nigga, on the replay. Hit cheater moving past you, nigga. I chuck the deuces on the replay. Man, y'all know what it is, man. Chris Cyphers, Dangerous, Drake Cobbs, man. This network shit ain't nothing but real shit over here, man. Nothing but real. You already know. Y'all knowing how we get down, Joe. Network, nigga. Network forever, nigga.
And shout out my network family. Go ahead, brother Alabama. I'm gonna stop sharing screen. You can see if you can take over now, brother.
Okay, big dog. I don't think you've elevated me to host yet. While you're doing that, let me see if I can get this sound check.
Yeah.
Check the sound check on a minister. Let me know if you can hear this.
When you share your audio, you gotta make sure you share the sound with the Zoom.
Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out here. So up here on the screen, where do I do with the volume?
Take back your screen sharing, Alabama. Close it out.
Stop. Okay.
Yeah, now reopen it, please. As soon as you reopen it, it should say it. Yeah.
Okay. Share sound. There we go. Now,
all right, got it. There you go. You should be good.
Can you?
What I
now?
learned, 49%.
Yeah, I can hear it. Yes, sir.
Of those who
Turn it
inhabit
up a little bit. And welcome to
native
Sister
lands
Angela.
are
Hey,
not
hey,
Indians.
much love and respect, sister, always.
I tell you, what I learned, 9% of those who inhabit native lands are not Indians. That's true. Well, wait now.
Shout out my brother Hurricane. Much love and respect.
Did
My
they
brother,
get everything from
Wine
you
Torres,
and you have
Black
nothing?
motherfucking power to the Black Power.
They come in posing as a friend. That's how they got Texas. They came in little by little. Then the next thing you know, they wanted to bring slavery into Texas, and the original Mexican would not have it.
War broke out, and they took Texas. They took Arizona. They took New Mexico. They took California.
Okay, could you hear that, Angel? Can you unmute?
Yes, can you hear me?
Why are
I
you not
can
getting
hear you
powerful
now, so let
erections
me
even after
pause
taking an
this.
ED
Loud
medication?
I
and clear.
wanted to, yeah, I wanted to kick that off with the minister. Now I'm going to stop sharing for a moment, and then I'm going to let Angel start warming up. And Cassie, you see, we got a guest already. Could you, Cassie, would you let Angel kind of get this thing started? And if you want to chime in and chop it up a bit with Cassie, then get myself situated. And Enemies Public, if you're on the way, that's supposed to be our DJ on set. But you got it, sis. I'm on mute.
And real quick, sis, before you take it, please, if anybody come on the panel, let the people get their thoughts out and no interruptions,
Hi.
please. Do a mic check, Cassie. I hear you, Angel. Like, give me 1 second. Cassie, mic check, please.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Welcome to
How's
the
everybody?
platform.
Thank you. Thank you. Welcome, everybody. I'm excited to hear what's going on today. Get our people free, right?
Yes, sis. Before we were trying to get our conversation going first. You can stay here in the
Okay.
background and let Angel prep what we're doing. The discussion every time we come on is entitled, Who Are You Calling Black? That's her book. I want you to go to Amazon if you haven't gotten it already. Make sure that you get that in your library. But
Okay.
Angel, the floor is yours while I go and work on some other stuff here in the background.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Loud and clear.
Yes, but I'm not in Zoom right now. I gotta sign back in, so just a minute.
Yes, me too. Just give me 1 moment.
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
so as the ladies go as they do and get themselves prepared, give me one more rotation, OG. Are you completely down? Or are you shut down? Okay,
Yeah,
let
I'm
me
shut down. I gave you
hold
the
on a
host.
second. Let me try something here.
Yeah, shout out
I
my
got
brother.
another
Make sense out
video.
there. Make
I
sense.
got a
Much love and respect. Black motherfucker power.
Yeah, and
Go ahead,
enemies
Alfred.
public. If you hiding in the background, man, let me know when you come in. So let me try this video here.
So
Yep.
we see what it is. We see exactly what it is. And the
The
story's
money,
not going to end like they think it is. I'm sorry. Go ahead, sis.
the money will be different. They won't carry the state's debts. They won't fund states. They won't do nothing.
Yeah, because I ran up on an article I was going to share tonight. It came off of MSN, where they are definitely pushing for that digital currency. No ands, ifs, buts about it. They are going to implement it. So it's just one more step, like we've been telling you all, of them resetting the system, bringing it over into their version of a new age, which would be a lot more technical and all of that jazz. But we'll get a little bit more in that. But I want to bring on Sis Cheryl because I do want to allot her some time to put something on it. So let me bring on Sis Cheryl, and then we'll hop back into go ahead on with the fuckery. So here we go. All right. Peace and love, sis.
Peace and love to you, Rhonda, Sandra, and Brother Sean, and all the listening family. I have a project that I have been working on with everything else that's been going on with us, and I have intentions of making a global international notice, and it's a declaration of decolonization of the landmass formerly known as Turtle Island. And I'd like to read a lot of that to you all.
Absolutely, sis.
So-called Christopher Columbus was sanctioned by the Catholic Church, the Vatican, to conquer lands that did not belong to them. He and his conquistadors tortured, raped, murdered, and ate the people they found on those lands. Today, their descendants continue to commit various acts of genocide against the indigenous people of those lands. Their laws, history, educational systems, sciences, and medicines are further used to supplant the identity of the indigenous heirs to the land. We are the indigenous heirs whose history and inheritance is tied to these lands and proclaim the following. All land, resources, property, movable and unmovable, thought to belong to the Catholic Church, the Vatican, doing business as the United States with the capital U in United States with the small u, the United States of America, the United States for America, its international parties or allies are hereby confiscated and reclaimed by the indigenous people, citing the law of Maat and post-limenium. Post-limenium is a law, and I'll give you the legal definition. It means after threshold. Threshold, the other beginning definition for it is beginning. It is a Roman legal doctrine whereby those captured by an enemy are regarded as having died free men before capture to protect those claiming under them, and whereby their return to the jurisdiction of Rome, the captives regain their suspended property and civil rights. The right or rule of international law, under which when persons or things taken by an enemy in war come again under the control of their own state, they, as a general rule, regain the rights belonging or relating to them before capture. The right by which persons and things taken into war are restored to their former status when coming again under the power of the nation to which they belong. That was first recorded in 1650. Land. By land we mean the term land, which includes all physical elements in the wealth of a nation bestowed by nature, such as climate, environment, fields, forests, minerals, mountains, lakes, streams, seas, and animals. As an asset, it includes anything on the ground, such as buildings, crops, fences, trees, water. Above the ground, air and space rights, and under the ground, mineral rights down to the center of the earth. The precious metals refers to the classification of metals that are considered to be rare and have a high economic value. These include, but are not limited to, gold, silver, platinum, iridium, rhodium, and palladium. Precious stones refers to several gems, including the diamond, emerald, ruby, and sapphire. They have a very high economic value because of their rarity or appearance. Human capital are humans being used as capital in stock, bonds, certificates, and banking schemes are all free for self-determination. Repossession becomes an act of necessity, and it is a self-help type of action in which the party having right of ownership of the property in question takes the property back from the party who took possession of it, whether agreed, implied, or usurped, without invoking court proceedings. And as a note, courts cannot rule nor make judgments when they lack jurisdiction. Therefore, it becomes necessary to forfeit and confiscate land and property thought to belong to the United States, the states, cities, and municipalities, and repeal all U.S. federal government allotted land agreements, historically known as alienated land, allotted land of Indian country, We, the indigenous people, demand restoration of treaty-guaranteed land, as well as monetary compensation. We demand restoration, restitution, or repatriation of lands acquired by the United States outside of valid treaties. Also be advised that no monetary amount can compensate for lands illegally seized, particularly those sacred lands necessary for indigenous people to regain sacred coherence. We demand an accounting for monies given in settlement to groups falsely claiming to be descendants of the original indigenous people, descendants of so-called $5 Indians. We, the indigenous descendants, demand the return of all land, waterways, railroads, roads, buildings, etc., all properties illegally taken from our people who are prisoners of war. The United States government ignored the existence of indigenous people on their own land and treated our land as a land free to colonize. The United States government stole the identities of the indigenous people by labeling them Negro, Black, Colored, Mulatto, African American, which left them a landless people, war prisoners with identity theft. White half-caste $5 Indians were encouraged to assimilate into the various indigenous communities and also the so-called white communities. Members of some Native American tribes have and continually receive cash payouts from gaming revenues, some as much as $30,000 per month from casino earnings, casinos built on our stolen land. The dog's final rolls allowed so-called white people to bribe government officials. They were referred to as $5 Indians in order to unlawfully obtain land allotments of land stolen, taken from the indigenous members of many tribes. Many indigenous people have been unable to trace their ancestry because the U.S. government has allowed identity thieves to falsely claim their heritage and to destroy documentation from the rightful heirs. The United States government has illegally and unlawfully sold off and stolen and taken from the original indigenous people, prisoners of war, to other foreign countries and corporations. As part of such actions, a Chinese company now owns 146,000 acres of prime farmland since 2013. There are many reservations located in these United States with millions of acres of trust lands which are leased for farming, grazing, oil and gas and other mineral extraction. Yet the descendants of the rightful inheritors do not live on these reservations nor share in any profits from these leased lands. We will not purchase any land because the land was never ceded to the United States. The land, along with many, many family relics and treasures, are being held in trust. We declare our independence. It's not a cessation, but a lawful, unilateral withdrawal from treaty obligations permitted under the 1969 Vienna Conference, the Convention as the Law of Treaties. We are not citizens of the USA. We offer citizenship to anyone who renounces their U.S. citizenship. U.S. colonial rule is at an end. The territory of the Republic of Indigenous Americans will include and encompass all the land stolen and held in trust by the U.S. government. This is the manifesto representing the wisdom of thousands of people, the ancestors and the great mystery, the great spirit. Wakan Tanka supports the rights of indigenous nations to live free and to take whatever actions are needed for sovereignty. We want international recognition according to the UN Declaration of Indigenous Rights, which was affirmed, as well as the American Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People. We were once a free people and returned to our free status, which was also affirmed by the UN Declaration of Indigenous Rights and the American Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. Our struggles began with the doctrine of discovery, that infamous papal bull, the U.S. fantasy history, the doctrine which began the invading, encroaching, stealing, and occupying of our land, the murdering of our people, their displacement and extermination. That is how today's America was created. In 1887, Congress passed the General Allotment Act, the Dawes Act, which ended our communal ownership of reservation lands. It distributed 160-acre allotments to individual Indians. But due to the reclassification, the identity theft of our people, we lost millions of acres. Wealthy ranchers exploit them today. U.S. authorities stole tribal lands and resources freely. They did so on the pretext of fulfilling federal responsibilities. Doing so abrogated fundamental indigenous rights unilaterally. Hundreds of treaties were violated. Our entire history reflects horrific struggles, denial of human rights, our God-given unalienable rights of life, liberty, and property. We note that soon after a treaty was issued, the American indigenous people were removed from their land. Those treaties were not signed by the indigenous people, but by someone acting on our behalf, such as the European chief John Ross of the Cherokee, or by the issuer themselves. We therefore terminate all treaties. Land restitution applicant and claimant must be female. According to ancestral customs and traditions, the return of land is to the maternal line. Land claims will only be honored going back through the maternal line. We demand compensation due to the practice method of supplanter and usurper for countless generations, all done under the guise of consent. Also, generational testing, usually done under the guise of prevention, such as in the 50s polio, and in the 30s syphilis, namely the infamous clinical study, the Tuskegee syphilis experiment conducted between 1932 and 1972 by the U.S. Public Health Service on so-called African American, indigenous American men who thought they were receiving free health care from the U.S. government. According to Noah's Webster's Dictionary, 1828, American is a noun, a native of America, originally applied to the aboriginals of copper-colored races found here by the Europeans, but now applied to the descendants of Europeans born in America. The American was later reclassified as Negro, black, colored, mulatto, and African American, stolen identities. Native American is a native of America, originally applied to the aboriginal inhabitants that now applied to the descendants of Europeans born in America, and especially to the citizens of the United States. Where is the home cradle of civilization of those that colonized our indigenous lands and now call themselves natives to the land? For the so-called Native American, it is not the United States. It is not America. We had an agreement with one another. I'm not going to get out of my canoe and get into your boat and try to steer it. And I'm not going to ask you to get out of your boat and into my canoe and try to steer it. We are going to allow one another to exist. In the beginning, we helped your people in their quest to be free from bondage on the land of the first people. We helped them establish their government, taught them how to cultivate the soil, build, and how to create agreements of peace and friendship. Their independence was based on our autochthonous status to the land, which helped in their claim for independence and creation of government. We have our own way of life, and you have yours, and we are not trying to convince you to be us, nor do we want to be you. You wanted our help because you were fleeing for your lives. This was the sentiment of the original Americans towards the Europeans. However, things soon changed, and we saw firsthand what it was they had fled from. The colonists brought their European wars to North America, and their competition for land and its resources were endless. This led to 100 years of war with the French and their indigenous American allies in the north, with the British and their indigenous American allies in the south. One moment we are traveling in our canoe down the river of life, traveling in a parallel line in their boat were those Europeans or Euro-Americans who are here on our land. And the next moment we were being kidnapped, stolen, moved across the land, put into bondage, slavery in our own land, and told we were escaped slaves. Those people they tricked into indentured servitude. Once our people lived peacefully on their own land, the so-called white settlers changed things. Western civilization destroyed their way of life. There's nothing civilized about it. They're either ignored, mocked, or demonized in media, books, films, and society. They're called drunks, beasts, thugs, primitives, and savages. These colonists always were a white supremacist society. Immigrants and their descendants have become the rich, powerful elites who have been controlling the indigenous people, and most others don't matter. They are systematically used and abused. They are not served. It's the colonist's way. History fails to mention many slaves were pale in skin. Those that were tawny, swarthy, coppered color, dark in skin, were prisoners of war. They killed our warriors, elders, even women and children. Those that survived were separated based on our varying copper-colored complexion. Mothers were separated from children who were used for the adventure of the colonists, rape, molestation, and bait for animals, which led to the genocide of our people. Our land, inheritance, and names were all stolen, and we were misidentified as Negro or colored, now misnomered Black or African America. Although those titles and labels were thrust upon us, many of our grandparents continued to fight for our inheritance and told many stories of our life before the colonist time. When many of the elders were growing up, it wasn't safe to be Indian. It was better to be thought of as Black or Negro. We often heard our parents say, "I won't be a Negro for nothing in this world." We were told to never talk about who we were or what we were. Our people were afraid. They thought that they would get hurt or be killed. So we just never talked about it much, especially away from home. But we knew who we were. We knew who our people were. Talking about your inheritance or your connection to the land and rights was a dangerous topic that could cost you your life. This is one reason why we see pale-skinned people claiming American Indian or Native American ancestry. Many ran and took refuge in our clans. Unbeknownst to us, some were working on behalf of the colonists to steal our titles and land. That is why in 1831, the Cherokee versus Georgia, Justice Marshall ruled that the Cherokee Nation was not a foreign state as defined in the U.S. Constitution, and therefore they could not sue the state of Georgia in the Supreme Court from usurping the gold on their land. By this time, many tribes had been infiltrated. The original Cherokee were being designated something else, while the pale-skinned European claimed their heritage and land. Here is the rally against illegal aliens. The descendants of the colonists are still claiming to be who they are not. The state government did little to discourage them, ignoring federal treaties and even abetting the taking of Indian land through bribery, fraud, and coercion. When the tribes turned to Washington for redress, federal officials proved ineffectual or hostile, depending on the administration. One by one, the other southern tribes, such as the Chickasaws, the Choctaws, the Creeks, and the Seminoles, signed treaties that required them to uproot to the far side of the Mississippi River. Modern-day Native Americans do not know of their copper-colored, bushy-haired origins, but have accepted the claims of their oppressor as fact without any verification. Those living on federal land, reservations, are a product of this colonization and rape. It is a very sensitive topic, as many are unaware of their true history.
Sis, I'm going to pause there because I know you want to get gassed up with this other stuff. So let me read directly from Who You Calling Black, and I'm going to hand it to you after this paragraph. This demand calls the end to genocide of Aboriginal American people. This demand restores the truth of Aboriginal American natural born origin, identity, status, and inherited natural wealth in the United States, which includes all continental United States of America lands, waters, and natural resources. Let it be known this demand ends over 200 years of government policies that has social politically misidentified Aboriginal American people in a racialized United States society as slave, colored race, free colored, free black, black Negro race, Negro Indian, Negro black race, and black or African American racial group. This demand calls out the historic executive branch approach of indigenous erasure as an institutional norm of systemic racism in the United States since 1790. And this demand emphatically calls the end to all genocidal acts perpetrated on Aborigines in their ancestral homeland country, the United States of America. And I yield, sis.
Yeah. Seems like
You got to echo because you have two
difficulties.
devices there. You have two devices. You're going to have to mute one of them to reduce that echo. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and make you a co-host so that you can share yours. Now, the one that's muted is already showing up here as a co-host. So, Angel, you there, sis? And welcome, Chief Blackfoot.
Hey, peace, my brother. How are you?
It's your world. I'm just a squirrel. So, Angel, what are your device you're on right now? Is that your phone or your laptop? Because I'm getting an echo.
Laptop. How?
Okay, you need to mute the other device or shut it down so I can make this one the co-host. That's why you're getting an echo. So I'm making what you're talking on right now, I'm making you a co-host so that you can share your screen. Okay? So what you know good, Blackfoot, you bring your transitions book with you. You know, the topic is as always, who you calling black?
I do have it here with me, brother, but you know what I'm dealing with. But
I do.
I got it with me though.
So Angel, on your laptop, if you want to screen share.
I'm having technical difficulties.
Yeah, because I keep hearing the echo.
How do I delete?
Well, the device on your phone, you need to leave. Just leave from your phone and come back on your laptop.
I'm on my laptop, but I have two Zooms open at the same time. I need to
You need to close the other one. Yes. The one that you're on right now, that you're talking on. Close the other one. Leave out on that other device. And I'm going to make this one a co-host so that you can screen share.
I'm going to exit and come back up.
Okay. So what you know good, Blackfoot?
Let me read chapter 9 of my book a little bit. It's called The American Misnomer as Negro. It's okay?
The floor is yours, brother.
So it says, this chapter must begin with the definition because words shape reality. And when words are altered, reality follows. If we want truth, we must go back before the revision, before the politics, before reclassification. That is why older dictionaries and older books matter, because the truth is still preserved in those scripts. And let's begin with Noah's 1828 dictionary, Webster's dictionary. And the definition reads, the American. A native of America, originally applied to the aboriginal or copper-colored race found here by the Europeans, but now applied to the descendants of Europeans born in America. You know, me and Angel earlier, you know, she sent me, it was a forum going on with these pretendians, man. And you know what I mean? It's the same thing that we was looking at the other night, but it was something else, man. And they are you know, trying to gather up their things to act like, you know, we are trying to pretend to be them, or like we're cosplaying on being them. And it's so much, man, just like the dictionary right here. It's telling you who the aboriginal people are, man, the copper colored people. You know what I mean? And these people are clearly, man, I mean, they, like I said, they have you know, stone heads out here, man. They have figurines. They have all type of things, man, pointing to us, man, in our phenotype of how we look. And they're nowhere in the picture, man. Right? I don't see how they even have a claim. And if you're gonna make a claim like that, and you trying to act like you can bring people and sue them, well, guess what? We can counter that with a false claim that you made. Their time is over, brother. Their time is up, man. You know, but let me finish going. It says, I want everyone to pause and analyze what I just read in this American definition. That single definition explains everything that followed. Who was the original American? And according to Webster, it was a Native of American, an Aboriginal, a copper-colored race, and found here by Europeans. Only later was the term transferred and reapplied to the descendants of Europeans. And that transfer was not accidental. It was identity theft. So what does Aboriginal mean? Let me delineate the meaning of Aboriginal. Let's break it down further. In the etymology sense, it means first, the earliest, existing from the beginning, especially referring to inhabitants of lands later colonized by Europeans. So by definition, the Aboriginal is the original inhabitant. The American was the Aboriginal, and the Aboriginal was not European. That fact alone explains why the American identity has gone through so many modifications, transfigurations, and reclassifications. And when you steal land, you must also steal the name. So the copper color, not black. Now let's deal with the next phrase, copper colored race. Copper is not black. Copper is brown. That raises a critical question. Why are people calling themselves black? Black is an adjective, not a people. It describes an object, not a human being. A person is a noun cannot be an adjective. That alone should make us stop and think. The label black was not self-created. It was assigned another reclassification. So the copper color does not mean pitch black unless someone has a visual impairment. Copper clearly falls within the spectrum of brown. Yet millions of our people call themselves black, accepting a word that does not describe them accurately, was never used to define them originally, and serves only to disconnect them from land, lineage, and the origin. And that's what that reclassification does, man. It disconnects us from the land, you know. And I don't get it, man. You know, I have a book signing I'm doing on April the 11th here in Washington D.C. and I'm going to make a poster. It's a big poster. I'm gonna make a big black dot, and I'm gonna put it in the corner, and I'm gonna ask everybody in that room. I'm gonna tell them, raise your hand. How many of us are black? And I think most of them might raise their hand, man. and
Well,
but I'm gonna have this big black poster, a big black dot, and I'm gonna ask them, do you look like this? Because see, with our people, man, you have to show them. That's the only way they really like. You can talk and say things, but you have to show them, man. And
right.
Just like I did at the university when I spoke during Black History Month, the history students, I asked most of them. I said, "Are you black?" Everybody raised their hand, and I told them the black dot. I said, "Do you look like this?"
It's a knee-jerk reaction, man. I mean, even our babies, they're in first and second grade, even in pre-K, and they take out a box of crayons and ask them to draw a picture. I mean, come on. But go ahead, brother. You cooking?
Yeah, yeah.
Till Angel gets herself together. And again, folks, like I said, tonight's conversation, we're having a Q&A. We'd like to engage the community and the thoughts that they may have, but not just about the topic, who you calling black. This is a war that is going on, and I think we're being a bit dismissive. And it's playtime is over. But go ahead, Blackfoot.
No, playtime is over because uh, we're putting a lot of work in this thing, and that's you have a guy named I think his name is Mike Lane, Mike TV, and man, I watched something on him today. Good God Almighty, man! That man, he got a whole criminal hit list on him, man. But this guy, man, he's claiming that he's a black Native American, and all of that got to be stopped, man. The black has to be thrown out, because it's really holding us back, and it's like we're going through the same thing with this black thing, man. But we are the Aboriginal people to the Americas, and it's just time for our people, man, to understand that, because I don't know where this thing is going today. I mean, you know what I mean? It's a lot of
Well, I wish I had that Billy Preston, will it go round in circles? Will it fly high like a bird up in the sky?
that.
You back with us, Angel? You still trying to get your bearings?
What's going
How
on?
do I sound now?
You
You sound
sound clear. And you still have
Great.
your co-host status, at least from that platform. If you want to run a dry run, click on your share screen. I'm going to make certain, because we had a problem with you as well. So I learned how to get the share action going on here. So click on your share screen and make sure that you look to the right there where the boxes come up and it says share sound. Do you see that? I know the last time you did your presentations, you didn't have any sound playing, but I think we were still trying to get that. Did you work that out with your Instagram and that short video? Because if you got that in the chamber.
No, I didn't
Oh,
work it out.
it's look good.
yeah, we see your screen. Did you share your audio? Oh, okay, we see Emmett Till Anti-Lynching Act. Now, I think we went back and forth over that. That did not pass the Congress.
Why does it say became law?
Give me a date on that.
Introduced, passed the House, passed the Senate to the president, and became law in
When
2022.
and what is the penalties? You know, they love saying things, but when you get to the fine print, what's this anti-lynching? What's the penalties? Because I have yet to see a person prosecuted for lynching niggas in America.
The offenses aren't directly mentioned here. It does say 30 years imprisonment and fines. But I think the important aspect of this is that it was actually signed into public law. It's Public Law 117-107. And it's the Emmett Till Anti-Lynching Act. And it states here, whoever conspires to commit any offense under these other paragraphs that are listed in 18 USC. I didn't print that out. However, it goes on to state that, let's see, I have some things on my screen I can't see too good. All right. It goes on to state that any of these offenses, you will be in prison for not more than 30 years, fined in accordance with this title or other conspiracies. Whoever conspires to commit any of these offenses shall, if death or serious bodily injury results from the offense, or if the offense includes kidnapping or an attempt to kidnap, aggravated sexual abuse, and the attempt to commit SA, and an attempt to kill, be in prison for not more than 30 years and fine. So I'm just stating this to let it be known that this Emmett Till Anti-Lynching Act is law. It is law. And I want us to take a look at the committees that this bill went through. It looks as though it first made its way through to the House Judiciary Subcommittee on Crime, Terrorism, and Homeland Security. And then it moved its way up to the House Judiciary Committee. And from there, it went to the Senate, obviously. There were like 100.
Who was the author, first of all? Who authored it? And then you're talking about the sponsor.
The major sponsor was Representative Bobby Rush, a Democrat out of Illinois. And there were like 180 co-sponsors. So this bill passed. It's actual law. And I just
now, Bobby
wanted to
Rush is
share
the
that.
former Black Panther. I think he's now out of office, and I believe he's an ancestor as well. I don't know, but go ahead, sis.
Yeah, I do believe he's a former Black Panther. But you're saying he's an ancestor since 2022?
I'm not certain. He may have transitioned. But go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes. So the next slide I have here that I want to share and help brothers and sisters become aware.
Hold up. Wait a minute. Give me a pause here. Leave that on screen. But let me share this and tell me if you can hear this. This is going to segue right into that. Hold on a second there. Can you hear the sound?
No.
Can't hear.
Man, this is very aggravating. This is the same thing that happens with the Instagram. Do you see this? Is this an AI generated thing? I want to forward it to both of you so that y'all can see this. Have you seen this one?
I seen that earlier. I think I sent that to you earlier.
Would you share? Yeah, you did. But would you share? I'm gonna stop sharing my screen so she can go back to what she was doing. Tell her what you sent me this for.
I mean, the same thing, brother. What we've been witnessing, last 2 days we've been talking about. They trying to act like we've been taking their place.
Yeah, you did. But would you share?
You know.
And this is what's going to, she's going to segue into this self-indigenization and this ongoing conference for the last 2 days. You got it, sis. Tell her what sent me this for.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, you got the floor, sis.
Okay, I want to share. Can you see this? This is that
Absolutely, but you want to
symposium.
blow it up. Yeah, if you can full screen that, especially that photo, I want you to analyze it and you see how they bleaching. You see they bleaching,
Well,
Blackfoot?
this is the best I could do with this image. I'm on their webpage, and this is through the University of Minnesota.
Look up there
Uh,
to the right with those dots. Sometimes you can zoom, it can let you zoom it. I mean, it's cool, but if you can, that's it. There you go, sis. Come on, cook with Pam.
is that big enough?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. So they held a symposium over the past 2 days, and the name of it is Holding Our Ground, Voices and Strategies Against Self-Indigenization. And before I speak on the symposium, may I please go back to the definition of self-indigenization? Refers to the process by which an individual claims an indigenous identity without belonging to any indigenous people. This phenomenon of often involves individuals adopting indigenous identities based on their own self-identification, sometimes without official recognition or connection to indigenous communities. Where there is a growing trend of people claiming indigenous heritage, this can lead to various social and legal implications, including the appropriation of indigenous rights and resources. Another definition here, self-indigenization occurs when a person asserts an indigenous identity without belonging to any indigenous people or without official recognition, often relying on distant or uncertain genealogical connections. This can involve self-deception, where the individual genuinely believes they are indigenous, or intentional misrepresentation, sometimes referred to as pretendianism or indigenous ethnic fraud. A critical aspect of self-indigenization is that true indigenous identity requires reciprocal recognition by the community. Self-identification alone is insufficient. So now let me jump back over here to their symposium. And this symposium was put on by a group.
Hold on, sis. Hold on. Do you see that subtitle, Hybrid Symposium? You want to talk about ironic? Go ahead. Well,
Yeah,
cook, sis, but
no,
use that
I
while you
see.
explain that portrait.
I'm not gonna badmouth these natives. I do condemn them for their fraud, but I'm not gonna badmouth them. A hybrid symposium meant, I think it means that some of their presenters were presenting online over Zoom.
Over Zoom. I
So
get that, but you don't see
yes,
that to be ironic?
yes, I
That
do
this
see
is a
it as ironic.
symposium of the hybrids. But cook, baby. Cook!
Yes, yes, I do see that. So this holding our ground, this also is very interesting because I recently attended a Native American event. It was about a month ago, and they had a similar type of platform where they're coming out declaring their indigeneity to this land and making it known that Native Americans are the center. They are the point of origin for all indigeneity in the United States. They're saying they are the indigenous people of this land. They're saying this is their land, and they're taking everything back. And they're getting funded, just like this event is funded through the university. So let's take a look at this image they have here. I just saw this image today, but it's very interesting because the natives are directly targeting those who we call $5 Indians, or those so-called white individuals who are claiming to be indigenous. And these natives are pointing it out that no, you're not. You do not have the genealogy to claim a native ancestry. Although there are these so-called white persons and individuals who are claiming that they're indigenous. So that's the ironic part when you talk about the hybrid. Because when I looked at the majority of those scholars, and these are scholars, a lot of them have PhDs, a lot of them are professors, they're coming together with this movement against self-indigenization. And when you look at these individuals, most of them, to me, and this is just my opinion, they look Hispanic. And a lot of them have Hispanic surnames. And we know for a fact that Hispanics are hybrids. We know that for a fact. And I have a story that I could share, but I'm going to keep it unless you allow me to share this story, that what one of my geography professors had to say about hybridization and hybridity.
I mean, you feel free to share what you want for the flow of the conversation. But I
Okay,
just thought it was interesting how people tell on themselves without them being aware. Now,
exactly.
each of these Native Americans, and you heard that in Clan Mother Cheryl saying that these people on the reservation are Mongolian hybrid conquistador, I'm going to say conquistador bastard children. So anyone that has a Hispanic or Spanish surname, they always want to call on their black abuela, their black grandma, but they don't ever mention Pawpaw because that's the colonizing rapist. But go ahead, sis, you got it.
Yes. So in one of my geography courses, the professor, he was lecturing that day on identity. And let me just preference that the majority of the students in that course were Hispanics. There were only a handful of us who were not. And the handful, such as myself, there was another brother in the course, and the rest were some Asians. But the majority of the students were Hispanics. So the professor asked the question, what race did most Hispanics claim on the 2010 US Census? And one of the students raised her hand, and she was this cute as a button, just the little petite, little cute little Hispanic girls. She raised her hand and she said, and the professor said yes, and she said white. And he said, correct. The majority of Hispanics chose white as their race. And then he went on to say, but you are something new. He said, you are an amalgamation between the Aboriginal Indians and the Spaniards, and you have been intermixing ever since. He said, your lineages only go back within the last 500 years. He said, you are not an ancient people. You're something new. And I looked around that class, and I know my mouth was hanging open. And I looked around, and nobody said a word. It was like a mic drop moment. You could hear a pin drop. I just knew one of those Hispanics were going to say, excuse me, professor, I'm Maya, I'm Aztec. None of them said anything because they know it's true. They know it's absolutely true that they are hybrids. And in my in other courses that I took to get my undergraduate degree, I took a sociology course where we had to study Hispanic scholars and their writings. And it was a common theme amongst them to pretty much brag about, yes, we're hybrids, but we're the best because we're a mixture and the best rises to the top. So they know who they are. And that's just a little story to back up when we see all these scholars and they have all these Spanish surnames, you know, Mercedes and Hernandez Cortez, Ramirez, and we see all these Hispanic surnames. That takes
Now
me
you're
back when
talking
I
about the
see that.
participants on this program, correct?
I'm not pinpointing one particular person who was a presenter or a speaker. I'm just saying in general, when we see these scholars with all these Spanish surnames and they're claiming to be indigenous, they're saying they are the indigenous people. Whenever I see that, it takes me back to what my professor said, that you are something new. You're not the ancient people. So when we see this word hybrid or hybridity in relation to them, we know that they are a mixture. And most of them can't trace back to their aboriginal lineage. They can't because they're so mixed that it's like lost in the sauce. So this symposium,
Did you hear
they
that
were,
participant on the Cherokee panel talking about we don't look like we did in the 1700s?
no, I missed that. You want to share on that?
No, go ahead. Go ahead with where you're cooking. I just wanted to underscore your statement from the actual participation in this current conference of the last 2 days.
Okay. So let's just understand what they were speaking on. And this says it was a 2-day hybrid symposium. It ended today. And they convened leading experts, community members, and first responders to the global issue of self-indigenization, particularly in the form of indigenous ethnic fraud or pretendianism, as it is referred to in North America. So they're making a point that those who they do not verify as native have no claim on an indigenous identity. That's point blank, period, what they are saying. If you are not verified by them, then you're literally playing to be some kind of Indian. You're making mythological claims. You are making statements of self-identification that you have nothing to back it up and to show to the world that what you are saying is credible. This is what they're saying. And they're very serious because up in Canada, they've taken it to the level where now they're filing lawsuits, they're prosecuting individuals, they're blacklisting individuals, they're trying to get certain, they're specifically going after white individuals in academia who are professors or they're tenured in some type of way. They're claiming to be indigenous, and these natives have gotten together, went through their genealogy, did background checks, and told them no. Just like they said about Elizabeth Warren. They said, no, you're not indigenous. So they're targeting them. However, they put a pin in people of color. They put a pin in people of color. And they say, yeah, we're going to have to get around to those people of color who are claiming to be indigenous too. So this is very interesting how all of the panelists that I see in Bro, Alabama and Chief Blackfoot, if either of you want to share with what did you see when you looked at the panel? Could you tell the difference between those individuals and a so-called white person?
All the participants in this symposium will be referred to as pale skins. That is what they would be referred to. I don't know that they would perceive themselves to be that, but it is quite evident many of them are just Becky with the good hair. Now, those males, they think that they grow a little, like call them Indian Barbie dolls, so those would be Indian Kens. You feel me?
Yes, I
What
do.
say you, Blackfoot?
Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
So most I've seen a lot that look like what's her name? Kim Tall Bear. You know what I mean? It seemed like a lot of them was mongoloid, Siberian looking. And I thought I seen some pale face so-called individuals in there. To me, they all seem like they all together. So that's what I really wasn't understanding too when, she was saying they going after, she specifically said they're going after these white so-called pretendians, man. But aren't they the ones that put them in the position that they in? I mean, that's
right.
If we're going to analyze this, these people are propped up by, okay, first of all, the context, the presumption of the whole conference and the conversation is not addressing, first and foremost, what is civilized. And convert or die means what? Convert or die means what?
It means
Either
exactly that.
yeah, I mean, yeah. Either you're gonna be with us or you roll up out of here. You
Or
die.
we gonna take you out.
Then we're going to subsidize you with the 30 pieces of silver. Now, Judas Iscariot, after the kiss of death, identifying Yeshua ben Yusuf or Jesus the Christ, his payment was the betrayal. But what are they being paid? Now, you heard the clan mother talk about the casinos and the benefits, the drug addiction, the indigeneity, which obviously the guilt cannot wipe out. They have high incidence of alcoholism, meth use. Fentanyl has moved over to them from their white progenitors, right? I mean, isn't that the health crisis in the United Snakes of America currently? But the crack epidemic is still killing the American, right?
Right.
Right?
Right.
We don't need health care. We need law enforcement. So go ahead, sis, with your critical analysis of the presentation. However far you want to take this. Again, those in the chat or at YouTube, the link is at the top. We want to engage the community. Q&A is open. Feel free to join so I can add you to the conversation. You got it, sis.
So we see this image here, and it's showing details of an author who spoke on who gets to be Indian. And we can look at the image, and it's interesting that this individual in this image is pretty dark skinned. And none of those panel speakers that I saw was anywhere near this complexion. As you said, Brother Alabama, they were all very pale skin, very pale skin. So I would like to turn to my book and read a little bit, if I may. The so-called Indian term has a very ambiguous identity fluid. That means a non-fixed identity, meaning in United States, similar to the so-called Black identity term. The ambiguity is normalized in United States society through systemic racism, so much so that confusion dictates the true existence of indigenous people in America. At present, the so-called Indian term identifies a political status for federally recognized Native American tribes. These tribes believe that the printed word Indian on a DOI card is proof of being indigenous to America. And when I say DOI, I mean Department of Interior. This in turn allows Native American tribal members an opportunity to appropriate the genuine indigenous identity belonging to the pre-existing Aborigines of America, us indigenous Negro-Negroid phenotypic American people. Recall that Indian, the Aborigines of this country are so-called, is a law definition dating back to 1856. That's Bouvier's 1856. In similar contexts, throughout this demand, numerous historical accounts are cited of the so-called Indian term that verify it as a European exonym for sociopolitically misidentifying Aborigines of America. In 1974, SCOTUS interpreted so-called Indian as a legal political status, not a race. And the name of that case is Morton v. Moncari, 1974. Based on this precedent, so-called Indian is unequivocally not denoting indigenous people in the United States. According to SCOTUS, it actually characterizes a political relationship within the federal government system. The so-called Indian term as a political status is related to social construction in comparison to authentic empirical proof verifying Aborigines are biologically distinguished as indigenous Negro-Negroid phenotype. So I'm going to quote a definition. Indigenous first emerged as a way for Europeans to differentiate enslaved Black people, Negro-Negroid phenotypic people, from the indigenous people of the Americas, who are also Negro-Negroid phenotype. Aborigines of America being first used in this modern context in 1646 by Sir Thomas Browne, who stated, although there be swarms of Negroes serving the Spaniard, yet they were all transported from Africa and are not indigenous or proper natives of America. That's a question that Sir Thomas Browne asked in 1646, knowing good and well there was a difference between Negros da Terra, Negroes of the land, and Negroes from Africa, Negros de Guinea. I'm continuing on in the book. The above reference is an historic account that logically substantiates indigenous Negro-Negroid people were not enslaved Blacks from Africa. Thus, Sir Thomas Browne's observation is a legitimate reference that proves Negroid people of America were described as indigenous to America in 1646. His observations did not include the term Indian. It stated Negroes as indigenous, meaning natural born to America. Moreover, individuals of foreign parents legally born in America are native born, not natural born, because natural born American exactly means indigenous to America. This is in stark contrast to the legal meaning of Indian stated by Chrissy Nemo as Deputy Attorney General of the Cherokee Nation during an MSNBC interview discussion on ICWA in 2022. Quote, this is what she said: "You have to be enrolled in a federally recognized tribe. It does not apply to someone who is the descent of a member of a tribe or who claims Indian descent. You have to have the political relationship of enrollment with a federally recognized tribe. And again, race doesn't play into it at all, because people of all races can be citizens of federally recognized Indian tribes."
Okay,
Unquote.
the damage and the danger of that statement that you just read is adoption. Now, right here on screen, that book, what's the title again of that book?
It's a
That
conversation. Who gets to be an Indian?
right. Now, do you know this author? Dina
No, I do
Delio
not.
Whitaker? Okay. You see what's underneath her bio?
Let's see here.
American Indian
Mohawk.
Studies. Go ahead.
Oh, yes. This is one of the panelists that you're
Mm-hmm.
speaking of, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes, I mean, we can all read what it says there.
Now, could you give me a second here? I'm not sure if this is live going on right now. Let me just do a brief share of what we're trying to get everyone here to understand. Just give me a second here.
While you do that, can I continue and finish this last part?
Go ahead.
Okay. So in the UN publication, State of the World's Indigenous Peoples, Volume 1, their concept of indigenous describes aboriginal peoples' inherently distinct connection to their ancestral homeland countries where found. Quote, this is from the publication, quote, "The concept of indigenous peoples emerged from the colonial experience whereby the aboriginal peoples of a given land were marginalized after being invaded by colonial powers." So when they say aboriginals, we know that to mean the autochtons of the soil. And when they say colonial powers, we know that to mean foreigners, no matter what time period those foreigners got here. Unquote.
Okay. Okay, I believe this is live. So, Amy Lone Tree, enrolled citizen of the Ho-Chunk Nation and a professor of history at University of California, Santa Cruz. Her scholarly research focuses on Native American history, indigenous photography, visual studies, public housing, and museum studies, and she has received fellowships in support of this work from the National Humanities Center, the School for Advanced Research, the Newberry Library, the Georgia O'Keeffe Museum Research Center, the Bard Graduate Center, the Institute of American Cultures at UCLA, and the University of California, Berkeley Chancellor's postdoctoral fellowship program. I just wanted to read that for people to understand how they're being propped up. Is that a Karen right here? Right here? There it is. Is that a Karen?
I
Okay.
get what you're
So,
saying, bro.
okay, so now let's hold on, y'all. Just listen. Let's just listen for a little bit. Just the ski taste.
Now, I'm a Ho-Chunk citizen, as Kim mentioned. And today is a special day for us Ho-Chunk people. It's Ho-Chunk Founders Day. where we recognize and honor the Ho-Chunk leaders who worked tirelessly for our federal recognition in 1963.
Should I stop
And one
sharing
of
my
the most
screen?
important rights and
You can, but just
responsibilities of
mute
a
yourself for
sovereign
the moment. I
nation,
want y'all
as
to
we
hear a little
know,
bit of this
is their right to
presentation.
determine their own members. Now, I have studied the papers of the founding mothers and fathers of the modern-day Ho-Chunk Nation working on our recognition case. They're housed at the Newberry Library. And I have been profoundly moved by the rigor and fierce determination of these leaders to document our people and record our families. We know our families, and we have also demonstrated sophistication in weighing multiple lines of evidence when conducting research. So my work on this issue is inspired by their leadership that challenges many of the justifications of self-indigenizers who somehow want us to believe that we as Native nations do not know our relatives. We know our relatives. We know our families. Now, during the Cherokee panel earlier today, I was inspired by the words of Daniel Justice, reminding us we were trained for this. And I really hear you because, like you, I still think I'm 20, and I'm still waiting for the elders to lead us. But it's our time to lead. We all have a job to do here, as Daniel reminds us. And the panelists that we will hear from this afternoon have done amazing work to address the colonial violence of self-indigenization, and we have much to learn from their efforts. Now, our first speaker, Fenosha Barley, is an enrolled member of the Apsalaka or Crow tribe, and she is also Ho-Chunk. And she is currently the Director of Native American Student Development and the Native American Community Center at the University of California, Berkeley. And she was an inaugural member of the University of California President's Native American Advisory Council and also chaired the Undergraduate Recruitment and Retention Working Group, which was responsible for offering the recommendation and rationale for the UC's, for the University of California, adding Native American Alaska Native citizenship information to the undergraduate application. And the University of California is the first public university system in the nation to do so. Our next speaker after Fenosha is Angela Jaime, who is an enrolled member of the Pitt River Tribe of Northern California and joined the University of Saskatchewan in 2020, where she currently serves as Vice Provost of Indigenous Engagement. And she leads the university in the understanding and implementation of the Let's Fly Up Together Indigenous strategy for the university, and is also leading the creation and implementation of the Indigenous Truth Policy, which protects space in the institution for Indigenous people through the verification of Indigenous membership and citizenship. And she's also pursuing trailblazing work. This was the first of its kind across the country, in Canada specifically. And our third presenter is Celeste Pedri-Spade, and she is Anishinaabe from Northwestern Ontario and a band member of the Lake de Mille Lacs First Nations. And in 2022, she became McGill University's first Associate Provost of Indigenous Initiatives. And in this role, she oversees the university's ongoing responses to its 52 calls to action, McGill's policy towards truth and reconciliation. And she's also an associate professor of anthropology. And so our panel is going to be a little bit different. I'm not going to pose questions right off the bat. As the policy session, I really wanted to make sure that people had a grounding in what these policies look like. So our presenters are going to do 15-minute PowerPoint presentations, and then
Sis, I'm gonna pause there because of the word policy. Okay? Go back to cooking. I just said I was about to throw up in my mouth. So go back to what you were presenting, sis. I just wanted people in the audience to understand this was ongoing over the last 2 days, and there's not a Negro phenotypic person in the building. I yield.
Continuing on. Aboriginal American denotes a nation of indigenous people in America.
We don't see your screen, sis. We don't see your screen. And just for your sake in the audience, did you see any people look like that? Do you see any copper color people at this presentation? Go ahead, sis, cook.
Aboriginal American denotes a nation of indigenous people in America that share common customs, heritage, origin, history, ancestry, and language, a nationality, not a socio-politically constructed race or tribe. Thus, the natural born rights of Aboriginal Americans are lawfully reserved in perpetuity, which invariably makes any Native American a native born immigrant, alien, makes their claims of being indigenous as false. Native Americans are federally recognized as Indian, which is currently a political status made up of various races, whereas indigenous Aborigines make up one race of natural born American people, us indigenous Negro phenotypic people. The Indian political relationship of Native Americans with Congress renders said natives indefinitely dependent on government contracts to occupy land in the United States, as well as government contracts that allow access to government benefits and funding for everyday survival. To prove this point, United States tribal communities received the largest ever federal government investment of $45.7 billion during the Biden-Harris administration. This BIA administered investment under the Department of Interior included funds of $32 billion from the American Rescue Plan, $13 billion from the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, and $700 million from the Inflation Reduction Act. These funds were distributed to federally recognized tribes, Native communities, and Alaska Native corporations. The following quotes were made by Vice President Kamala Harris at the 2024 White House Tribal Nations Summit. Over the past 4 years, we have made it a central priority, and it will remain a central priority to address these historic inequalities and to create opportunity in every Native community. And all of this to know what we again must always do, fight for the dignity of all people. To create a future of opportunity and dignity, we must always make sure that every person has the freedom to drink clean water and breathe clean air. Tribal nations and people have served as responsible stewards of our environment and natural resources for millennia. The original leaders. And over the past 4 years, we have made it a priority to make sure that you have the resources to continue your important work of leadership, all of which will help protect Native communities for this generation and for 7 generations to come. Now, that was Kamala Harris. She made that statement in 2024. It is highly questionable if former Vice President Harris, a self-identified Black woman of foreign parentage, will ever acknowledge, recognize, and respect the natural-born citizen rights of Aboriginal American people in the United States and support an end to the government misidentifying Indigenous Aborigines as Black, particularly in lieu of the following contentious statement she made. Quote, this is Kamala Harris. Listen, the reality also is this. Any policy that benefits Black people will benefit all society. Let's be clear about that. Excuse me, I'm turning the page. Let's really be clear about that. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit Black people. No, because whatever benefits that Black family will benefit that community and society as a whole and the country, right? Right? Right, Alabama? Right,
Angel,
Chief?
what page are you on?
Right is
Angel?
wrong.
I'm
I
on
mean,
page
that's in your
60.
book. This is in
Page
your book.
60.
Right.
But right is wrong.
So yeah.
But I'm
So
not
let
gonna
me
do
just
anything just for the blacks.
right. And she's
Right?
talking policy. She's talking policy. So
Yeah.
let me just finish this up. Okay, back to the book. Yet Kamala Harris, in her own words as vice president, worked to make it a central priority to address the historic inequalities of Native American communities, thereby creating a future opportunity and dignity for every Native American community. According to former Vice President Harris, this will help protect Native communities for this generation and 7 generations to come in the United States, whereas the Biden-Harris administration made no such effort to even recognize the ongoing genocide of Aboriginal American people in our ancestral homeland country of the United States of America. So I'm saying that just to make this point that natives, to me, speak out of both sides of their mouths. They're complaining about the government on one side of their mouth while they're constantly asking the government, give us more, give us more, give us more funding, more this, more that. And they get it, and they've been getting it. Now, I haven't done the research to see how much this present administration has cut back on what the natives are receiving. But a lot of what they're receiving is already set in trust funds. They're receiving trust funds. They're receiving privileges and preferences that we cannot even imagine. And now they want to own who is and who is not indigenous, when we know for a fact that they are not indigenous. They're not of the phenotype. This is not their country, and this is not their land. And I yield.
You got something you want to put on it, Blackfoot?
Nah, man. Everything she was just mentioning, I mean, it's self-explanatory. On my end, man. I think they know, they can see the uprising of our people, man, coming back to, who we truly are. They see this. And, they're just, when you got a wild animal cornered in a corner, you know, they gonna try to fight you. And this is their last chance. So that's what they're doing, you know. And to me, all of them are together. The $5, the Mongoloid, the Siberian, all of them are together. I don't know where they get at. They trying to go after the white phenotype. You know what I mean? I think they're just trying to talk in codes, meaning they really trying to.
Well, no, they've already made it explicitly clear they're going to say that they are targeting them because see, right now in Canada, pretendians are being adjudicated, criminalized, convicted, and incarcerated. That's going on in Canada. But Elizabeth Warren is a sitting senator representing Massachusetts. Now, do we even know the Aboriginal name? Remember you shared that in the last conversation? We didn't get that video to play. That was the Instagram that she was trying to get to play. But they're going to claim we need to start prosecutions south of the Mason-Dixon line, as Malcolm used to call it, the Canadian border. Okay? Anything south of the Canadian border is the South. You feel me, Blackfoot? White supremacist headquarters is in the United Snakes of America.
Right.
Now, when they go and start lining these people up, we need to bust Umar Johnson in the mouth. This belligerent bastard who has the nerve, through his jealousy and envy, to try to create some relevance by calling us descendants of African freedmen in America, and then having the nerve to fix his lips and say any supposed melanated person who is a quote unquote self-hating African, saying their ancestors or their elders claim their indigenous Indian heritage, which most of us have heard. If you've had an interaction with your grandparents and been fortunate enough to be around your great grandparents, and let's say you were blessed to have actually experienced your great great grandparents, they have all shared being Indian. Now, this bastard has the nerve to defame us by suggesting we're pretendians, by claiming what he wants to call a native heritage. See, this is this type of diabolical shit. Like you said earlier about Mike TV. Same thing with Tariq Nasheed. He gives credit to Claude Anderson by using the term native black. Okay? These are all oxymoronic, contradictory descriptions. You know,
Right.
black cannot be native, white cannot be indigenous. Neither of these constructs, and both are racist. So allowing this to continue, which is what, again, my message is simple. There is only one American, period. Everything else is non-American. All United States citizens are not American, regardless of Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. in the State of the Union declaring we are all from somewhere else. Well, who is that we? This is not a nation of immigrants. It is a nation stolen by immigrants. It is a nation constantly under invasion by immigrants. It is a land being foisted, stolen, incursions, invaded, whatever works for you in the peanut gallery and the short bus. This invasion and ongoing incursion, and this criminal bastard has the nerve to bounce back and forth between bombing Iran and saying it's not a war, it's a military excursion. Really? This the game that we play with language? Go ahead, sis. You got it.
Alabama, can I just share? I would like to share this webpage real quick. Can you see it? It's Wikipedia. And I know we're not supposed to look at Wikipedia, but I'm just making a point.
You got
this is what they say is American. This is their definition of American. Now we know who the Americans are, the Aboriginal people of this land and soil. That's who the Americans are. But they're saying Americans are the citizens and nationals of the United States. U.S. federal law does not equate nationality with race or ethnicity, but rather with citizenship. And let me just add right here, race and ethnicity is a policy in the United States. Race and ethnicity is a policy, okay? It says the U.S. has 37 ancestral groups with more than 1 million individuals. White Americans form the largest racial and ethnic group at 61.1% of the U.S. population.
Let's pause right there. See, this is the lie that needs to be broken down. First of all, there's no white person except for what has been bestowed as United States citizen. And all these categories of white people are ethnic groups. Would you like to break them down? If you're talking Germans, Irish, Italians, etc., you feel me? And then how is it they go and extend and expand whiteness to North Africa? What did you say the last time we were on about MENA? Middle Eastern, North African category. But go ahead, cook, sis, cook.
Yes. So what they're saying, they are trying to break it down. They're saying with non-Hispanic whites making up 57.8% of that total 61.6% of the white race and ethnic group. 57.8% of them are non-Hispanic. Hispanic and Latino Americans form the second largest group and are 18.7% of the American population. We, so-called Blacks, us Negro phenotypic people misidentified as Black, used to make up the second largest group. Now they're saying it's Hispanics. And now they're claiming Black Americans constitute the country's third largest ancestry group and are 12.4% of the total US population. And they go on to break it down with Asian Americans and here at 6%, and they have Native Americans at 1.1%. They're saying Native Americans are 3.7 million. So,
and don't forget
this
they say that
breakdown.
about Jews too, about 1 to 2%. But go ahead, sis.
Oh, okay. So this breakdown is interesting because when we compare it over the decades by the decennial censuses that happen every 10 years, it seems that the so-called Black identity or the Black racial and ethnic group remains around the same percentage of the population. How can that possibly be? How can
Well,
that
you
possibly
know
be?
the psychological mindset of being numerically outnumbered and constantly implied to be in a minority status. But go ahead, sis,
Right.
cook.
Okay. So the majority, it goes on to state, the majority of Americans trace their roots to immigrants who arrived in what is now the United States, starting with European colonization in the 16th century. This includes European American groups, they're calling them European American groups, such as the English, Irish, Germans, Italians, and others, as well as Africans forcibly brought as slaves during the Atlantic slave trade. However, Native American population whose ancestors inhabited the continent for thousands of years before European contact are a key exception. Now, this is a narrative, and we have to call this narrative out as false because it's false. And so if anyone else on the panel want to call out this narrative, if anyone else has a comment or anything to add to what I've just shared from this Wikipedia page on who and what is American, please speak up. I see
Yep,
we got our
yep.
good sister
Give me a sec.
here,
Well,
Wakita.
she's under the weather, but if she wants to chime in, she can. But give me a second here because this is a perfect segue for what I was going to set up next. It's just a few minute video that goes directly to the erasure. So give me a sec here.
But I like to say something real quick.
Go ahead, cook,
You
brother.
know, just like you know, these percentages that they gave off here, you know, as white.
Comb through America's oldest census records, you will.
No, go. I'm sorry, brother. Go ahead.
Of course, this come from the census. So when they talk about these whites, they're really not telling you everything involved in white because they're including Africans in that, right? They're including, you know, other ethnic groups into that white. But they're not telling you that. They make it seem like, you know, that so-called pale-faced people, man, make up this large percentage, but they're taking that census from a lot of different groups of people, man.
You may not have heard her mention last week about the OMB and the removal of the category MENA, which is the acronym of Middle East North Africa. Reiterate that, sis, before I play this
Yes.
video.
Yes, MENA, the Middle Eastern and North African group, they recently, well, in the last OMB revision, they were delineated from the white category. They had complained long enough and hard enough, and they were heard by OMB that gave them their own designation. And that's, to me, an affront to us. They don't even want to listen to us because when they see all the skin folk coming through, the FBAs, the ADOS, the American freedmen, those claiming to be Black Americans, those who want to just be Negroes, we have so many different factions that OMB, to me, in my opinion, threw their hands up and said, you know what, this is up for more research. Because literally it's like they don't know who they are. I mean, they're all over the place. But Alabama, you want to?
Yeah, I'm going to play this video, but as I want y'all to keep that in consideration as you hear this content, which again, we've brought this up time and again, and those in the audience that keep wanting to troll, not this conversation. You're trolling your people by having this confusion and chaos. Like she just pointed out, DAFA, FBA, ADOS, Solon. We're at double digits with these labels and misnomers. But I'm going to yield and listen, and you could tell me if Mr. Charlie, you'll take it from the AI.
Find names and birthplaces simply listed as Black Indian. No controversy, no confusion, just fact. But before the century turned, those same identities quietly vanished from official memory, replaced by new labels and silence. They were erased, not by war, but by paperwork. Why did America need Black Indians hidden, and what else disappeared with them? In the earliest records kept by colonists and census takers, Black Indians were documented in plain sight. Colonial journals from the 1700s describe villages where Native and African people lived side by side, sometimes sharing families, customs, and land. These accounts do not hesitate or hedge. They speak of Black Indians as a matter of fact. In 1790, the first U.S. Census began grouping people by color and freedom status. Even then, some regional records named individuals as Black Indian or Mixed Indian with no footnotes and no explanations. In Maryland's 1776 census, surviving fragments list the first names.
This week, we're hosting a free trading and investing workshop right here in Houston. Inside this workshop, you'll
names of dozens of enslaved people, some noted in local tax records as Indian Negroes or Negroes and Indians together. By 1835, a census of the Cherokee Nation reported that 1 in 10 citizens had African ancestry. Early federal census sheets from the 1820s and the 1830s sometimes included columns for free colored persons living in Native households, entries that, in their own handwriting, confirmed the presence of Afro-Indigenous families. One census enumerator in North Carolina in 1830 wrote a single line listing Sarah as Indian, Black complexion, age 34, free. These are not rumors or legends. They are the government's own words, written in ink that has not faded. The names and categories were ordinary then, as if everyone understood who lived in these borderlands. There was no controversy and no anxious correction, just a record of who was there. Before the lines were redrawn, before the labels changed, the existence of Black Indians was an administrative fact. The proof sits in the ledgers, quiet but undeniable, waiting for the moment when the story would be told differently. Open the catalogs of America's vast archives, and the silence is louder than any denial. Search for photographs labeled Black Indian or Afro-Indigenous, and the results come back nearly empty. The records are not just missing, they were never cataloged, never preserved under those names. The void is not accidental. It is a kind of evidence in itself, a blank space where thousands of lives and families should be. Museums hold rows of portraits, but the faces are sorted by what someone else decided to see: Negro, Indian, colored, rarely both. Census records after the 1840s dropped the language of Black Indian that was once ordinary. Tribal roles, land deeds, and government files began to split people into new categories: erasing the overlap that had always existed in daily life. The absence of labeled footage is not a gap in history. It is the result of deliberate choices. Archivists, census takers, and clerks were told what to write and what not to write. As laws hardened, the paperwork began to do the work of erasure. Entire communities were renamed or left out, their stories scattered across ledgers under different labels. The silence in the archives is not a mystery. It is the mark of a system that decided some identities were too inconvenient to record. The missing images, the empty search results, the faded columns, these are not accidents. They are the fingerprints of a policy that made Black Indian identity disappear with a pen and a file box. This is how a people can be erased, not from the land, but from the memory of the nation. In 1887, Congress passed the Dawes Act, a law that would change the fate of indigenous nations across the United States. The Dawes Act ordered that communal tribal lands be divided into individual plots, but it also demanded a new kind of record keeping. Every person entitled to land had to be listed by name on an official roll. 11 years later, the Curtis Act of 1898 stripped away the last protections for tribal governments and forced the 5 tribes of Indian Territory, Cherokee, Creek, Choctaw, Chickasaw, and Seminole, to submit to federal enrollment. The Dawes Commission, set up to carry out this process, invented a system of categories that would decide the future of every applicant. There was the BY Blood roll, reserved for those the commission accepted as native by lineage. There was the Freedmen roll, for people of African descent who had once been enslaved by tribal citizens or who traced their roots to Black Indian families. There were also rolls for intermarried whites, adopted citizens, and denied cases. The labels were not just words. They determined who would receive land, who would be recognized as a tribal citizen, and who would be left out. Applicants sat before examiners, answering questions about family, ancestry, and community. The commission had the power to decide, often with little evidence, which role a person belonged on. For many Afro-Indigenous families, the outcome was already written. Even with clear ties to the tribe, they were placed on the Freedmen roll, separated from relatives listed as BI Blood. This paperwork split families, erased shared history, and locked generations into categories that could not be changed. The Dawes and Curtis Acts turned identity into administration, a system where a checkmark on a form could erase a nation's memory. John Horse was born in Spanish Florida, the son of an enslaved
Hard workouts make you old. Chair Tai Chi makes you young. Start Chair Tai Chi on Monday.
African woman and a Seminole father, at a time when freedom was always in question. He became the leader of the Black Seminoles, a people who found themselves caught between 3 worlds, Native, African, and the rising white republic that wanted neither. During the Second Seminole War in the 1830s, John Horse stood before U.S. generals and Seminole chiefs alike, demanding liberty not just for himself, but for hundreds of Black families who had lived alongside the Seminole for generations. He spoke 3 languages, fought in 2 armies, and crossed 3 countries to keep his people from being dragged back into slavery. In 1849, after years of broken promises and threats from Creek slave raiders, John Horse led nearly 100 Black Seminoles out of Indian Territory. Their destination was Mexico, where slavery was outlawed. There, the Mexican government granted them land in exchange for military service. For a time, they found safety, but the struggle never ended. Even in exile, John Horse wrote letters and sent petitions asking the U.S. government to recognize the Black Seminoles as rightful members of the nation they had fought beside and bled for. The bureaucracy never answered. On paper, the Black Seminoles were listed as Negroes, runaways, or freedmen, never as Seminole. When the Dawes Commission arrived decades later to divide up tribal land, John Horse had already died in Mexico, but his descendants and those he led were placed on the freedmen rolls and stripped of tribal identity and land rights. For John Horse, the fight was always against erasure by paperwork. His victories lived in memory and in the courage of his people, but the files told a different story. The harm was not just in what was denied, but in how a nation could erase a leader and his people with the stroke of a pen. That was bureaucratic erasure, quiet and final on paper. Oil pooled beneath the red dirt of Oklahoma, and for a brief moment, Black families who had survived the Dawes paperwork found themselves holding deeds to land no one expected to be valuable. Greenwood, known as Black Wall Street, rose from these allotments, built by the hands of Cherokee and Creek freedmen, their children, and their grandchildren. In 1921, that wealth became a target.
Right.
Over 2 days, white mobs set fire to 35 city blocks, burning homes, businesses, and churches to the ground. Between 100 and 300 men, women, and children were killed. The records of ownership, deeds, tribal allotment papers vanished in the flames, along with proof of generational wealth. Paper erasure had prepared the ground. When violence came, there was nothing left to protect those whose existence had already been written out. For some, the loss was not just land or money, but the last trace of who they were supposed to be. Identity is still measured, counted, and challenged today. In the 2020 census, thousands of people who claim both Black and Native ancestry were missed or forced to choose one box, leaving whole families invisible on paper. Laws and tribal constitutions still use Dawes-era categories, dividing descendants of freedmen from those listed by blood. Marilyn Vann, a Cherokee freedman descendant, spent decades fighting in federal court to restore citizenship for families like hers. In 2017, a judge ruled that the Cherokee Nation must honor the 1866 treaty rights of freedmen, but the struggle continues. DNA tests offer answers for some, but not everyone's story fits a lab result. Oral history, family Bibles, and memories still carry what documents tried to erase. The fight is not over. Black Indians are still here, refusing to disappear, even when the paperwork says otherwise. Today, the erasure of Black Native identity still shapes who is seen, counted, or believed. As long as history remains written by exclusion, entire peoples live between the lines. The story is not over. It is waiting for those willing to read what was meant to be hidden. Drop your thoughts below.
Okay, sis. Let us elaborate on what is by blood. And since the miraculous cataculus has arrived, he can speak specifically to this Muskogee crime. But go ahead, sis.
Yes, I just wanna make a couple of more points. One point is that when they use those terms in the census, colored persons, blacks, Indians, Negroes, all those terms are synonymous. All those terms are synonymous. It just depended on who was using the term and when. Now, a perfect example of how all those terms have been used to describe this certain very important individual, this ancestor, this Aborigine by the name of Crispus Attucks. Now, Crispus Attucks is documented as a Massachusetts Indian. However, his parents are also documented as Massachusetts Indians. But there are multiple publications that say, okay, although Crispus was an Indian, his parents were Indians, we still gonna call them Negroes. They still call Crispus Attucks Negro when both of his parents are documented as Indians. And in this country, an Indian is what an Aborigine is so called. Now, I have one more web page that I would like to share and then turn it over to the rest of our panel, if I may.
And we don't
Alabama.
see your screen.
Okay, let me share it. Let me find the web page. Just a minute. Can you see that?
Yes, ma'am.
We charge genocide.
We charge genocide. This may not be well known to a lot of our people, but in 1951, a group of quote unquote Negroes went to the UN with a petition charging the United Nations, charging the United States, excuse me, charging the United States with genocide. And this is the publication. It can be found. The title of it is We Charge Genocide. I was able to find a PDF copy of it. Now, I have yet to go through the entire document. However, they lay it out. They introduce who they're talking about. They're talking about the Negroes in the so-called Black ghettos of American cities. And, you know, we're out of the cotton plantations of the South. And they go into everything. They break it down. They give a general statement to the UN. They talk about what led to genocide. And they talk about, and they're very explicit in describing that every single genocidal offense has happened and continues to happen to our people. They went in. It's very, very explicit and very laid out. The only thing is, it didn't go anywhere.
Is that a
It didn't
book
go
or a
anywhere in the
report?
UN. It's in a book form. You can find it in a book form. This is the title. When you go online and look it up, We Charge Genocide. Now, this website, you can see this is blackpass.org. Let's see. I don't know if they have a
Okay,
PDF
but you're saying
copy of
it's been
it.
put into a book form, but was this
Yes,
something submitted to the United Nations?
it was submitted. It was a petition submitted to the United Nations on behalf of our people in 1951. You can find videos about that on YouTube. Paul Robeson was one of the main components that was backing this and speaking out. And this charge of genocide is probably one of the main reasons why Paul Robeson later got blacklisted. He had to leave the country. Now, this is
Now, don't
1951.
forget now, in 1951, Ralph Bunche had just been arguing for the creation of the State of Israel in 1948. Could you make sure that you text that to me, sis?
Yes, I
But go
will.
ahead, you cooking.
So, yes, that's the last thing I wanted to share because we have other brothers and sisters up on the panel. So let's just build, let's help each other become aware, let's share information, and let's do what we have to do as a people because this is our ancestral land. We're the Aborigines of this land, and nobody can tell us who we are. They can ask us, but they cannot tell us. And that includes those Native Americans. And I yield.
Cuddy and Wakita, I know your voice may be a bit hoarse, but if you want to chime in, feel free. We really were opening up today's presentation for Q&A, and anyone in the chat, I keep challenging you, stop trolling. The link is pinned at the top on the YouTube side. But go ahead, Wakita, how are you feeling?
Did you say something to me, Elder?
You feel free to speak whenever you want to chime in.
Are you
Same thing
talking to
with you,
me?
Blackfoot. Yeah, yeah. We,
Oh,
we,
okay.
we were trying to open it up for questions and answers. I don't know how much you saw. We've shared a lot of content. There's an
Right.
ongoing controversy with these Native Americans, particularly. And I would talk with you
You ain't
earlier.
got to tell me.
Yeah, I hope you can go back to that material when we did the American Indian movement. The
Mhm.
landback.org, NDN Collective, they done taken on another turn. That's what Angel and I were trying to share. We shared some real time presentations that they're having in a conference the last 2 days. That's called self-indigenization.
Mhm.
They're trying to start prosecutions and bring what's going on in Canada down here to the United States. But go ahead, brother. You can cook.
Listen, we're gonna get a hey, remind me on that land back so I can tell you exactly what's going on with that. Shout out to all the indigenous aborigine in North America known as motherfucking Turtle Island. Do I have y'all permission to speak freely? Because I'm off the chain and I broke the mainframe.
Yes, brother.
Step to it. Step to the mic.
All right.
DJ.
All right. Look,
Yo, yo, yo.
listen here. The fact of the matter is this right here. Them Them motherfuckers is winning, like I told you earlier, Alabama. Them motherfuckers winning, and all we been doing is spinning. Shout out to the sister with this the book, you know what I'm saying? Actually letting people know that we're not dead. We're alive and well. More or less, you know. But for the most part, we're spinning. Most of these brothers and sisters out here walking around talking about, yeah, I'm a mathematical equation of deduction. How? I'm an African hyphen American. Okay, then what is that? That means you are African being deduced from America. That's what the hyphen is. A hyphen is a subtraction sign, subtracting you from your land. You feel me? So that's what I mean when I be seeing brothers talk about, yeah, I'm black. You know what I'm saying? I'm African American. And I'm looking at them like, man, you look just like my people. You look just like my people. I'm not talking about people that come from Africa, you know what I'm saying, with the BB heads. Shout out to them too, you know what I'm saying? Love and bush meat to all you motherfuckers. But I'm talking about my people here that you guys laugh at, talk about. Y'all don't know who y'all is. Y'all don't know where y'all come from. Nah, this the Great Awakening, and you look crazy now because we know exactly what you knew all the time. Now, to get on them Mongols, straight up, the contemporary, isn't that what that is? Elder Alabama? We go back to talk about the contemporary of my people, right?
I wish you had heard Angel. Give him a good bullet point about your class setting and the
Okay.
hybrid.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Angel, because you didn't hear that. It was earlier part of our conversation. During her presentation, she shared an experience in the classroom and the professor in question describing them to be a new thing. You got us, Angel? Unless she stepped away.
Excuse me, bro. Someone called me. A sister called me and I told her she's trying to give me all kind of information. I said, sis, click the link and come on up and
Exactly.
see.
That's the whole point of tonight's
Yes.
conversation. We're trying to engage the community. This is a give and take. We're not trying to dominate the conversation, but we're trying to push the message forward. Tell him about the hybrid, sis, in your
Trying to
classroom setting.
dominate. I'm trying to dominate the whole cerebellum because this is crazy what's going on with our people, man. You know what I'm saying? Hey, they want them to think they from somewhere else because Tesla is on their tribal land. Come on, let's get on some real. Oh, I'm sorry about that.
No, Angel, I was trying to tell him that you share the anecdote about the hybrid and the professor in the classroom.
Yes, it's all good though. Bro, Cuddy, he can just keep going.
The question he had hanging in the air, these are contemporary. And what does that mean to say something is contemporary? And I was sharing with him that you said the professor told these Hispanics they're a new thing. I'd like you to elaborate on it for him to jump off
Oh,
on.
okay. I missed that. Excuse me when I was speaking on the phone. So
You are
yes,
fine, sis.
yes. So the professors, see, this is the thing. Let me just say this because I've been wanting to say it since we was on the whole pretendian and that self-indigenization. These academics, they're the ones who are dictating. They're dictating identity in our country. They're the ones gassing up these Native Americans. It's the academics telling them, oh, you're indigenous. Oh, you're aboriginal. And they're not. They're not the aborigines of the land. And most of these academics know it. I had an academic tell me one day after class, Angel, the aborigines of America are extinct. And I said, well, professor, with all due respect, how can that be when you're speaking to one? So yeah, these academics, they've
Wow.
taken it way too far. They're taking it way too far, but that's okay because we calling them out, we setting the record straight, and if they don't like it, that's their problem because we have empirical evidence. We have all the evidence, all the proof, just like Chief Blackfoot was putting it down. We have all the proof, all the evidence that we're the aborigines of this land. So, Sister Wakita, you want to get up in here, sis?
I'm not gonna be able to hang too tough with y'all. I'm dealing with this respiratory infection. I just wanted to uh, uh, chime in a little bit and let the people know that we've always been here. We'll always be here. You know, and these people have to play psychological games on us and the rest of the world, so they can stay on top, but they're falling and they know they're falling. I got into a debate with this academic, just like you said, Angel. It was a lecture that was going to be uh there was a lecture that was going to be held, and the subject matter was the Mayans and the ancient Mayans. So, you know, I was getting a little irritated with all these different lectures because every time you go to these lectures, all you see is a pale face giving out all this information. So I asked, I'm like, well, is it a European that's actually going to be giving the lecture or actual Mayan? So this academic chimed in and said, well, the Mayans are extinct. I said, how can that be when there are people living in that territory right now? There are descendants of the Mayans, which in turn will make them the Mayans. I said, I'm tired of y'all trying to misclassify people for your benefit. You know,
Sis.
Go
Oh, I'm
ahead.
sorry about that. I'm sorry. No, hey, sis, they talk out of both sides of their mouth. I'm glad they say that because you know they call us Mayate, and what that means is little Mayan, and it's a derogatory to them.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, sis. I'm sorry.
But
No,
even when you're saying that, Cuddy, they're talking about the indigenous melanated skin tone that you carry. See, Angel puts in her book constantly what the Negroid phenotypic person. Okay. Now, this wench on that panel representing Cherokee Nation of this presentation earlier today said we don't look like we did in the 1700s. What? Say what?
yeah, she's lying.
No,
Because the state of what?
she's stating a fact.
Oh, hold up. Alabama, isn't that what the name Steelers did? Come on.
Come on,
Now,
cook, DJ.
so let's keep it a
Tell them
timeline.
about that
So,
eviction notice out there.
no. I'm not gonna tell them. I tell them about that, but I'm gonna tell them about something else you want me to tell them about. You ain't thought about my guy. All of them tribes, when they get like a new tribal elder, all of them, they have to go to Israel. 'Cause 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 they have to go
Wow.
Y'all didn't know that, did y'all? See, y'all got it.
What?
Man, yeah, they have to go to Israel and kiss that wall. All of them. See, when they are over there saying, motherfuckers are saying, Yahweh, Yahweh, Yahweh. See, this is what I'm trying to tell you is what they are doing is what the Jew do. And what the Jew told them exactly what the Somalis is doing is what the
Right
Jew
now.
told them. See, they didn't come up with, come on, the Somalis, we all know their IQ is that of a fruit fly. So how could they leech billions from the government if they didn't wasn't told what to do? See, these are all everybody's in on it but us. But the realization is, like I told y'all on these shows a long time ago, I said, niggas do not start no wars and do not finish no wars. The shit will hit the fan when the Euro Gentile wakes up and realize, hold up, we're all going. Oh, I'm flying real high. 747. I'm sorry, the mainframe's broke. Hopefully, y'all can get what I'm trying to say. Alabama, you?
Absolutely.
See, I just
I
blew
get what
y'all
you're
mind.
saying, bro. I hear you, bro.
Yes, ma'am. Hey, the people that's, look, they got reservations. People with, people,
Now, come
only
on,
people,
cut. Come on, say
hold
what
up,
you
man,
mean
come
by
on.
reservation.
Come on, man.
They
Only,
reserved to do
hold
what?
that. Hey, Alabama, don't try to steal my thunder. You know how I get, huh? Let's go. All right. Listen, only people get reservations is motherfuckers getting hotels and dinner. That don't mean you was supposed to be. That motherfucker carved out a space for you. See, we go back to what you was talking about, the phenotypical Negroid. See, a lot of people don't like to get with it, but I go all the way in. When we get, man, I was just on a goddamn cruise ship. Excuse my French. Nah, man, hell no. Nah, don't excuse me. I'm on a cruise ship, man. Just shooting the shit. I said, yeah. Lady said, yeah. Something rather about a black man. I said, oh no, ma'am, I'm not black. She said, you're not black. You're not African American. I said, hell no, I ain't from no motherfucking Africa. There's a white lady, you know, her and her husband, cool people. You know what I'm saying? All bullshit to the side. But I said, no, that ain't me. She said, what are you? I said, I'm Muskogee Creek. She said, I am too. She was nice. Her husband
What?
was nice. Come on. He was nice.
Oh, goddamn.
Her husband was nice. And I said, no, you're not. No, you are not. You're contemporary. And she said, yes. I said, you know what that means? No. She said, I said, well, that means new. She looked in her eyes and was big. She's like, yeah, you're the new. You had a reservation in our spot. She was like, oh. And I don't think she really liked me, but she gave me smiles and was still. But I told her I had to tell the truth. I cannot play no games with you. But white people get to talking to me about it. Look, in order for me to even realize when the fuck I was, I had to shut the fuck up and remember who I was. And once I realized who I was, it was easy to point out everybody. So I'm glad y'all was talking about the phenotypical Negroid. To me, I take it a step farther. Me, there's only really 3 races on this planet. Can we call them out? Anybody?
Yep, the pale face, the indigenous melanated man, and everybody else.
Okay, we're gonna keep it scientific for everybody that be thinking that niggas is silly. Not to say that you ain't say that what you said is silly. I'm not trying to say that by no means. But what I'm trying to say, we're gonna keep it scientific so these motherfuckers know that we is intelligent. We's not Somalis. Negroid, Caucasoid, and the Mongoloid.
Yep.
Okay. All right. There's two races on this planet. I mean, excuse me, not races. I mean, three races, two species on this planet. Can y'all name those species?
You mean man and kind of man?
Hey, Alabama, 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 Alabama. I love you, Elder. But if you don't want me to cut up, stop telling the movies before the movies go on. Just because you've seen the movie and been on other shows. Let other people walk the walk, sir. Please. Or else I'm going to cut up. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, as Alabama was kind of alluding to, not getting all the way right, there's two species. That's human beings, and there's mankind. All of those words are something that you're taught in etymology. Shortcut, just being quick with it. Etymology is the study of words and their origin. Sometimes you have syllables. A lot of times you have syllables. A lot of times those syllables represent words crashed into each other to make a shortcut word. Y'all following me?
Cook, Cuddy, cook.
Oh my God, I love you, Alabama. Okay, all right, let me give you an example. Let me give you a real good example. When a child is being, playful and childish, childish is a word that is a shortcut word. There's two words in that word. Can y'all identify the two words at least? Okay,
What
I'll
did
give
you
it.
say, bro? I apologize. I wasn't
No, you
paying
fine.
attention.
You fine. You fine.
Cause he's finna get on some
No,
ish.
hold up.
He's finna
Hold up.
get
I
on
got
some
you.
ish.
I got you. I got you. Hold up. Come on, Alabama. You can't help yourself, man. What the fuck is up, man? Will you go find some weed from a good nigga that can calm your ass down from fucking my shit off? Thank you, sir. Okay, listen. Childish, the word child. Etymology is the study of words and its origin. In those words, a lot of times those people that created these words would crash words together, two words, to make a shortcut word. Example, childish. Childish is two words. Child, which is a young person. Ish. Ish is a word that means kinda or like. We can agree to that. It doesn't mean shit. It doesn't mean like, how people be like, man, I'm on that real ish. Nah. Ish means kinda and like. Okay, so now, if we know this, we can apply that same technique and it tell you everything. Like Jewish. What does that mean? Jew-like, correct? Uh-oh. Am I losing y'all? I'm sorry, I'll stop.
No,
No,
go
we
ahead,
all
bro.
mute enough to let you clown. Go ahead
Yes,
and
Okay.
cook
no,
it.
we're
All right.
learning.
All
Teach,
right.
teach,
Hey,
teach.
y'all listening to the real Semitic. Oh, no, I'm sorry. We're going to go back to the real. Because, see, what they did is they took the H out of the motherfucker word, took the human element out of the word. It's really Semitic. And they can't say Semitic. That means they related to ham. Anyway, I'm sorry, I diverted. Anyway, we're going back. Like I said, two species, mankind and human being. And all of these words mean something. Human means brown man. When you was little and had that color TV that had them knobs on the back and you turned up that HUE, that was putting brown on the screen. Mankind means man-like. So now, when we stop playing games and really kind of, hey, be like, hold up, we the Negroid that they, and man, they told us that the Negroid inhabited every square inch of this planet. And now they didn't?
Teach.
What? Even if we go by the Pangea and stuff, so okay, we was just in a little sliver of a desert. Man, listen, right here in America is where you call what we call the land of milk and honey. You ain't getting no motherfucking good motherfucking milk from no skinny ass African cow. And if you fuck around with some of that motherfucking honey from Africa, you'll be out here like the white boys say, tripping balls. Straight up. This is the land of milk and honey. You feel me? This is the land that feeds the world. Really? That's why they killed all the cows last few years. Chickens. They could do that and raise everything $2 or $3. And we still won't feel it. That's why they don't want you to think you from here. The transatlantic slave trade didn't send but 20,000 niggas throughout all of the Americas. There was millions here. Our people was, man, the earth is stained with our people's blood, dog. Man, I seen some shit on the what's Alabama, help me. What is the name of that lake where our people would be snatching the motherfuckers up by the ankles, nigga, and yanking them right down to the bottom?
Lake Lanier would used to be
That's,
called Oscarville, but go Cook
man.
Cuddy, goddamn it. You got an Atlanta girl here. I want you to get back to that eviction notice there. But go ahead.
Oh yeah, I apologize. I will get right to that. But I feel a glow every time I know that they have grabbed an ankle or a motherfucking toe. That's a fact. That's a fact. Because
If I'm not
I'm from
mistaken,
I'm
that's in Georgia. Lake Lanier is in Georgia, right,
that's in
Wakita?
Georgia, no doubt. But you have to understand, where did them motherfucking mongoose go to? Alabama.
Now we getting back to the eviction notice now.
Yeah,
Wakita is born
absolutely.
and raised in Atlanta. I
Absolutely.
want you to chop it up with her.
That's what I'm saying. That's why they went and tried to serve that eviction notice to the mayor and the sheriffs and all of them motherfuckers, talking about that they contemporary Muskogees. We standing up for all the Muskogees, including the niggas. I was like, whoa. I was like, whoa. This is crazy. I try to tell her, man, they awarded these. Why are we talking about it? Man, they in between now and then they have gotten at least almost 1 billion acres of land behind
Well,
this shit.
that started with the 3 million that we first when we did this bill was going on 3 years ago. Now it's just about.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Alabama. Tell me if you remember. I showed you that strip from the top that they was awarded in Oklahoma, stretching through Missouri, Arkansas, Missouri, into Kentucky, all the way into South Carolina, down into Georgia. You don't remember that?
Well, I thought it was the original charge was 3 million acres in and around the capital. of
What they
Oklahoma.
did was they went 250 miles north, 250 miles south, and all the way to Oklahoma from South Carolina.
Okay, before Wakita comes back on this, because there is and I want Angel's going to circle back to this because there is a claim that's already been adjudicated in the Supreme Court from Empress Biradiosi Turner Gostin L. Bay, where she was, well, I don't want to say even awarded. It was acknowledged that 1 million square miles was in the territory of the Washita that was acknowledged under UNESCO as the oldest ancient peoples on the planet.
Alabama. Alabama. Let me also give you another reminder if you remember our our brothers and sisters that was out there, Chief Baloney Neck. Remember Chief Ham Hock and them over there in the Carolinas. Remember the swaths of land they got all the way from Canada down to Florida. You remember that?
Allegedly. But yeah, go ahead.
These is all places where they are trying to put it down, sir. We're in a fashion. We need to be putting it down. Understand, these people are Heisman posing us right now. And, straight up, they Heisman posing us, man. And I'm just being real. I'm going to double back. I'm going to tell you the truth. The truth as I know it. And the truth as I know it right now, what we dealing with is worldwide small ass shit. Period. Sorry, but not sorry.
Right.
Righteous and no walls.
Well,
Nigga.
like I said, Wakita was born and raised, and I think she's aware of the story. I believe it's called Walani Forest, is it not, Wakita, where they're trying to stage. Has Cop City broken ground, and how far has it developed, Wakita? I know she's still recovering from a respiratory, so
I
her
see you
voice
trying
may
to
be a little hoarse.
segue with your PBS fake Tavis smiley ass. I'm fucking with you, Elder.
No, I'm saying this was all a part. I hope you can recover that bill because when we put down landback.org and NDN Collective, this shit is what was laid out today, Cuddy. That's what they
Alabama,
did the last 2 days.
Alabama, don't even trip. We'll just do another one and build it again. I got all the information still.
Angel, you got that? And again, you and Goat, there, y'all need to line up her anyway. So this is the sister with the book who you calling
And
black.
and 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 if y'all want, y'all can go to my. Hey man, I'm in Tulsa on the super regular. I just took niggas to motherfucking Greenwood so they could see how they ran a highway right through there, built all them buildings over them bodies and shit. Had my peoples up in there speaking to it, how they harried up and built that shit so people didn't excavate and find them bodies. Come
This
on,
this
man.
is the Muskogee Creek, Angel. This is it right here.
You know?
Yep.
It's real shit. Yeah, look, I mean, niggas is down there kicking it, you know what I'm saying, whoop the whoop, but they know what's real. And the sad part about Greenwood, man, that shit is beautiful. But it ain't, no niggas earn nothing down there. Nothing.
May I ask a question?
Yeah, yes, ma'am, please.
Yes, so the brother who's out there in Tulsa, and he's a lawyer and he's been representing
Hey,
that
ma'am,
community. What is
ma'am,
his name?
I don't even want, I know exactly who you talking about, that bald head motherfucker with the round
Yeah,
head. And
right.
he ran our elder Viola Ford Fletcher and them's lawsuit into the dirt, and he doing the same shit with the Cherokee Nation, straight up.
Wow.
Because you gotta understand, he a purple tie guy. You know
Yeah,
that?
yeah. She
Hold,
don't know.
hold up, wait a
She
minute.
don't know your purple
Hold up,
tie gang.
elder. I put him up on game. That purple means shit. And it don't mean nothing good for us. You type his name Jermaine something. Just type in the lawyer for the Cherokee Nation. niggas.
I think it's Demarius
And
Solomon Simons or Simmons or
whatever
something
it is, I
like
mean,
that.
come on with
Yeah,
that. That
something
ain't,
like that.
but every other picture you'll see a purple tie. What does that mean? That's that sorority fraternity shit. That's saying that nigga, you Greek more than you a nigga. And you'll go both ways. See?
I do
And,
care. I do
and
care. Hit the link. It's attached up there at the top on the YouTube side. Come on up, sis. I do
you,
care.
Well,
you know,
Alabama,
hey,
Alabama.
hold on 1 second. I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna be done with it. You know, when you look at the whole thing, these people that are against us been against us since the beginning. Y'all have to understand why these people feel like who Kanye West tried to tell us, and I was like, he's right and exact, and then nobody understand what he was saying when he said, "Yo, the people who is doing the stuff to him is the pilgrims, the same people that hit the land. That's why they dress the same still to this day. The pilgrims, the small hat was the pilgrims. That's why they felt like they owned everything. You look at all the cowboys, look at the white man who we felt like was slave master or whatnot. Man, we look at these motherfucking movies. These motherfucking movies was telling the truth, them old westerns. And what the slave master's so-called problem was, his so-called problem in every goddamn movie was, oh shit, the bank trying to take my shit. Who was the bank? The bank ain't never changed. And why? Who is they to say, yo, we can take your land or give you land? But a motherfucker who felt like this is theirs in the beginning.
And they keep saying they're chosen.
Yeah, yeah. Everybody like, yeah, they God chosen people. And I hit them with the good question. What God? You had to tell me what God. You had to tell me what God, and then that make them fall on their face. And they be like, yo, you anti-Semite. No, nigga, I am a Semite, but it's called Shemite, sir, if you want to be smart.
Well, you know, there when you bring up the sons of Noah, and I know you're at least aware of this Noahide laws. Have you noticed that tactic they're using with the 7 Noahide laws?
Man, shout out to the Bible. It's a bunch of bad writing. I'm sorry.
What were you saying, Angel? Before I cut, because I do care. If you still there, hit the link. Come on up, sis. We're
Hey,
trying
Yo,
to
shout out.
elevate the ladies and the clan mothers. But go ahead, sis.
Hey, yo, I got about a couple minutes, man. So I'm gonna sit right here, man, just in case y'all want to ask me some things, want me to elaborate on something and stuff. I'm right here with you.
I was just trying to ask a question to the brother Cuddy regarding that attorney, that lawyer, Demario Simmons. I heard him in a video just yesterday on Instagram. He didn't say Black Creek. He said African Creek.
Oh
And
my
I
God.
sat there and said to myself, what is an African Creek?
We gotta
I'm gonna
start
tell
calling these
you
people
want me
out.
to tell you what an African creek is?
Yes.
Because it make perfect sense to you. Because we all know what's going on. Look at his motherfucking ass. That's an African trying to pose as a creek. You gotta understand the name of the game is name stealing. That's why they all kissed the wall. They all got money. They was given the money. If they wasn't given the money, was given the game to steal the money. By who? The ultimate stealers. Goyim. Hey man, shout out to the Goyim. Goyim lives matter.
Yeah, he better watch out with that African Creek stuff for them natives come charging him with self-indigenization.
But Tariq Nasheed told you exactly, right and exact. They're all trying to crowbar, still trying to crowbar. They're all trying to crowbar some of what's ours. And that's why I'm like, they all winning. And we just out here spinning.
But Cuddy, when we did that bill, and Angel, I want you to realize he's extended the invitation for you to recreate it when y'all prepare to discuss this. Wakita knows about the Walani Forest, knows about Cop City, but could you
Yeah.
share with her when we saw this woman supposedly try to evict the Negro that's the mayor? I don't know if you were aware of that, Wakita, but go ahead, Cut.
They had an African American on the motherfucking run.
Yep.
He had no answers. He was trying to run from paperwork. Because look, he's exemplifying. This is the mayor. He exemplified what all of them think about all of us. That we don't know when the fuck we are, to the point where we'll do shit against our very own interests. This man run away. Do I think he African? No, not for real, but he don't know who he is. And they accepting all kind of adverse stuff. And they chasing him with it. You feel what I'm saying? They ran his ass up the hallway through glass doors. You know what I'm saying? Talking about we are the contemporary. This nigga heard contemporary was like, hold up, nigga, that's 4 syllables. I'm out.
Yeah,
Straight
it's
up.
quite embarrassing. I did actually see that happen live on television here in Georgia. Not really understanding it in the beginning what I was watching. Yeah, I'm like, well, where is this? And it went downtown City Hall. Are you serious?
But do you understand what the campaign was, Wakita,
I,
though?
I, I do
Hold up.
understand. I understand.
The key to us really, for real, is what they said. They could not say they coming out and they trying to get monies and all kind of shit in the name of themselves and us, whatever. We know we not gonna see shit, but they have to tell the truth in it. And they told the truth when they said contemporary. Let me give you an example. You know what contemporary R&B was? That's G motherfucking G. It went from New Edition R&B, Keep Sweat, New Edition, Contemporary R&B, Kenny G.
Yep.
So you got to understand what they're saying. They're saying that they're new. And shout out to Elvis, and Elvis's grandson in the rap game, killing everybody rapping. It's another generation of a motherfucking music thief. Let's go.
Ridiculous. It's really ridiculous. uh, the mayor of Atlanta and all of these other so-called melanated people in Atlanta, they're all bought and boss. These are the Masons and the Eastern Stars that run Atlanta, and they've been in place for close to 50 years now. Back in the 70s is when they started coming in and infiltrating and because the first mayor that was melanated, Maynard Jackson, he was a native of Atlanta. John Wesley Dodds was his grandfather. John Wesley Dodds was a businessman who passed for white, but he allowed people to know what he was. But the bourgeoisie of Atlanta, of the indigenous community, was those who could pass for white. Um, the
And
singer,
how did he pass it over to Andrew Young? Because Maynard actually put things in place where you got government contracts and
exactly.
built up the businesses. Then what did Andrew Young do?
But he was a gatekeeper. That once they killed Malcolm, they told the posse, I call them the posse, what their positions was going to be and where they were going to be. He was a gatekeeper. You know, we would have a running joke that Kasim Reed was the very first dark-skinned mayor we ever had. Every last one of them was light-skinned. So you got the Julian Bonds and um, Benjamin Mays, all of them. They came here. If they weren't from here, Andrew Young from Louisiana, isn't he? They're not from here, but they understand how important Atlanta is on a spiritual level, as far as the indigenous people, and they knew they had to hold this land down. So you know, it's really sad, the history of Atlanta. But I'm trying to think of the lady who was a singer, and I read her biography. She was part of that light skinned colored people bourgeoisie, because they had their own section of Atlanta that they lived in. And if you were dark skinned, you couldn't go there. I heard this from my grandmama. You know, a lot of them were, quadroons and all of that. But that's who they put in position, because they needed to harness the energy and the spirituality of the indigenous people of Georgia. Georgia is a very powerful place. People don't pay attention. We have all these catastrophes in every other state but Georgia. And people don't even sit and ask, why is that? It's a very powerful place. And they needed to harness it. But the Caucasians don't have the melanin to really harness it like we do. So they had to get their people and put them in place. Martin Luther King, if he would have played ball, they would have been able to keep him alive. But he woke up.
Well, you know, when he was organizing the Poor People's Campaign and then made that statement about the Negro is exiled in his own land and spoke specifically of the Vietnam War stealing the budget from poor people, which is what's going on today. You know what? I don't want to go down a rabbit hole, but do you know these bastards asked for $200 billion today?
Yeah. Talking about it costs money to kill bad people.
Well, ladies, I know we've been.
My
Go ahead.
only burning question is, why is it that Iran just can't bomb America?
On American soil. See, again, we have the great wisdom of our ancestors, or the breaking of Pangea. The Atlantic and the Pacific are insurmountable boundaries. The problem is we've invited people in like sinners. Okay? But you were saying something, Angel?
Oh no, y'all go ahead, because it sounded interesting what you're talking about. Y'all want to get on geopolitics? I'm willing to go there too.
They can't bomb us because we are the chosen people. They can't get rid of our bloodline. If they kill our bloodline, then there goes the world. Just like DJ Cuddy was saying earlier, we are the chosen one, and they cannot get rid of us. Donald Trump
Did
is
you hear
hiding
them?
behind us.
Oh yeah, that there's no doubt because he's a coward. But did you hear how they're recounting the hostage crisis from the 70s and how we were released? We were released along with the women. One Negro was held back because, you know, they always got a house nigga. And he was a Marine that ran the radio. Okay? So everyone the world over seems to know but the nigga. It's time out. No,
It's up to
I
him.
think Cuddy came back. I got a real quick cleanser for a moment here. Give me a sec. Think y'all enjoyed this.
You think Native Americans were the first here, but you're still curious about hidden histories, then buckle up for a revelation. Let's dive into the untold history of Black American Indians. Before the Siberian migrants crossed the Bering Strait, black people were already thriving here. Yes, you heard that right. Early civilizations, older than many African ones, left traces from South America to the southwest US. The Olmec heads in Mexico, definite African features. Fast forward to the Dawes Act of 1887. Non-natives paid $5 to be recorded as Native American, erasing the true indigenous black people from history. Their identity was changed from Indian to Negro to colored and finally African American. Why erase them? Colonizers needed the land, and rewriting history made it easier. But the truth, Black American Indians were the original stewards. It's time we revisit history with fresh eyes. Like, share, and subscribe for more hidden truths.
So is that what y'all need there in the short bus? Y'all need AI? You need Master Charlie's approval? But y'all got it, sis.
Yeah, you already know how I feel about all of that Black American Indian stuff. I mean, I wrote the book, Who Are You Calling Black? So I just wanted to circle back around, though, if I may, to what we was building on about this self-indigenization. And one of the main points that I want to make, it doesn't matter what these natives say. They can say and do what they want, stay in their lane, as long as they don't come over here trying to mess around with us. They can do what they want. However, we do need to be aware because they're claiming that they are the indigenous people. And when I was still in school, I used to get into back and forth with them Hispanics claiming to be indigenous until I would ask them the question, can you please define indigenous and cite your source? Now, that's when you get all kind of throughout everything I heard on that panel, not one time did I hear one of those scholars define indigenous. Not one. They got indigenous coming out their mouth every other word, indigenous this, indigenous that, indigenous this and that. But they never define what indigenous means because they're going to have to come on back over here to us because you can only be indigenous if you are an aborigine. Indigenous is an adjective that describes our connection to our ancestral land. Point blank, period. None of them folks could ever answer me, indigenous, they can't do it. So there's one more web page that I wanted to share, if I may, Alabama, and get everybody's feedback on, because not only are these folks over here claiming they're American, they're claiming they're the American culture. They're claiming everything. So who is familiar with this term? I'm going to share my screen and pull it up. Who's familiar with this term, Americana?
Well, if you've ever seen Whoopi Goldberg's collection, are you sisters aware of that? She's actually reported to have the largest Americana collection in the nation. But now, of course, that's that pickaninny stuff, the nigger head bank, you know what I'm saying? But go ahead, sis Cook.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to get to. So we back here looking at Wikipedia because this is a general source of information. And this is what the mainstream is going to be referencing. So Americana artifacts are related to the history, geography, folklore, and cultural heritage of the United States of America. Americana is any collection of materials and things concerning or characteristic of the United States or of the American people. So they speaking for us. And is representative or even stereotypic of American culture as a whole. Now, I'm not going to get into all of this stuff talking about national identity, patriotism, and all this other stuff they be American dreaming on and all of that. I'm not going to go there. But I'm going to scroll on down here because I want y'all to see this. When they talk about Black Americana, watch when I click it, what shows up.
Yeah, well, they're going to categorize Jim Crow racism of racist memorabilia. But if you ever were to go look into what Whoopi has actually compiled these things in her home. So she has an unofficial museum of the largest collection of what she's going to show you right there, Wakita. Go
Here
ahead.
they go, the mammy figurines, the caricatures. This is so-called Black Americana.
The lawn jockey statues.
They talking about Jim Crow. They probably talking some slavery up in here. And this is what they think about us, Negroid phenotypic people of America. This right here. So I just wanted to make that final point. And also I wanted to stress again, these folks talking this self-indigenization, if they ever get up in your face with that, ask them to, please, can you define the term indigenous and cite your source? And then let's see what they say, because they're going to have to bring it back home to us. And we ain't none of this. This is not us.
Oh, scroll back down to the bottom. What was that book? Deconstructing Jim Crow? Is that what the title of that book said?
Understanding Jim Crow and watermelons, nooses, and straight razors.
God. Was it you or was it Wakita? I'm not sure which one of you. Who sent me that Juan Crow?
It wasn't me.
It wasn't me either, bro.
John Leguizamo. You familiar with that actor?
Oh,
yes. Yes.
Okay. And them trying to stand up the Hispanic as originating a lot of the fights of civil rights, et cetera, et cetera. And I forgot who sent me that video, and I can't pull it down now. But ladies, give me just a sec here, because I think it's time for the young lady to give you a palate cleanse. And we'll circle back on this self-indigenization. This is Enemies Public's niece. Mayday in the house.
Now that I got your attention again, I want to speak to you about white girls on the arms of our black men. I know you're not gonna sing this.
Niggas want it easy and sleazy, so they take sleeping pills. They're scared of solid ground, so they run to the hills and search for Becky, a Karen, or a Sue. When they get around the sisters, they start acting brand new. I can't stand you milk toast softies. I don't like cream unless it's in my coffee. I refuse to call you brother. You're a traitor to your people, disrespectful to your mother. I just laugh at you clowns. You'd rather have it pale and flat instead of curvy and brown. The easiest woman on earth to charm. You think you came up cause you got a white chick on your arm. Mayday. This is not to attack ya. I'm not Polly and I don't wanna crack ya. Mayday. This is not to attack ya. I'm not Polly and I don't wanna crack her. Used to look up to the kings, the ones who stood tall and proud. Now I see these fellas shrinking, fading into the crowd, forgetting where they came from, forgetting all the struggle, chasing after fantasies, caught up in a bubble. You talk about your conquest like it's some kind of prize, but you're losing your foundation right before my eyes. At you clowns. You'd rather have it pale and flat of curvy and brown. The easiest woman on earth to charm. You think you came up cause you got a white chick on your arm. It's Mayday. This is not to attack ya. I'm not Polly and I don't wanna crack her. Mayday. This is not to attack ya. I'm not Polly and I don't wanna crack her. I'm here for the truth, for the strength that resides within, for the melanin glow, for the place where we begin. Don't need no validation from a world that don't uplift. My sister stand beside me, it's a powerful gift. So go on with your choices, your misguided desires, but don't come back complaining when your fake world expires. Da, 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 da. I just laugh at you clowns. You'd rather have it pale and flat instead of curvy and brown. The easiest woman on earth to charm. You think you came up cause you got a white chick on your arm? Oh, it's Mayday. This is not to attack ya. I'm not Polly and I don't wanna crack her. It's Mayday. This is not to attack ya. I'm not Polly and I don't wanna crack her.
Calling them honey.
Da, 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 da.
Okay, ladies.
I like that.
What,
Yeah, I like that.
what? You're not Polly, you don't want a cracker?
I like that.
Now, one final thing, though, because we got to do this before we go, sis. My sister does this every week. And for y'all on the short bus, wake the fuck up!
The First Americans' Declaration of Reclamation of Our Identity and Natural Rights. This declaration, dated the accepted and amended July 4th, 2019, is in response to the intrusion, genocide, gentrification, indoctrination, and reclassification of the over 100 million strong original peoples of North, Central, South America, and adjoining islands over a period of 4 or more centuries. The American Aboriginal peoples described in this declaration are hereby declared the free peoples of the so-called Western Hemisphere and the Americas, meaning clear of obstruction, unrestrained in movement, liberty of action or expression, not holding strictly to rule or form, of nations, not subject to foreign rule or to despotism, based on principles of civil liberty, sense of given without cost and free of charge and cost. This declaration does not include the so-called Native Americans, Africans, European, Hindu-European, or Asian descendants, only the American Aborigines and mistakenly the American Negro and their descendants. Article 1. All so-called Black people in the Americas are not descendants of Africa, and this misclassification of our identity, i.e. colored, Negro, Black, and African American, is the result of social programming and indoctrination, and is not and will not be accepted by the autonomous people in any manner, whether it be personally, socially, politically, or so-called legally. And any attempt to continue such reckless behavior will be seen as a conspiracy to commit a fraud, a hate crime, and defamation against the original peoples of the Western Hemisphere under international law and the American Constitution. The U.S. corporation, its nation states, affiliates, and sponsors have been committing many sorts of crimes against the original or Aborigine people of this land without as much as one warning for the genocide, rape, lynching, displacement, and scientific experiments. There are many documented cases. The list of nefarious and criminal activity is almost too long to imagine, and there must be an accounting and remedy for. By our estimates, the greatest majority of so-called white African and European descendants in the U.S. believe that the original or Aborigine people misclassified as Black were all brought here on slave ships by their ancestors, not realizing that we were here long before their ancestors existed. And the only reason that they believe the lie is because of the great effort to cover up factual history. Article 2. There are millions of acres of land held in trust by the governing bodies of the Americas that are the birthright of the original or Aborigine people of the land, and we demand that such land be returned in good faith and without obstruction, harassment, or oversight. Since the original or Aborigine people have been systematically removed and gentrified from our lands by fraudulent practices and intimidation, we feel it would be in the best interest of all involved to give back our land and allow us to live in peace. No exceptions. Article 3. We, as the original or Aborigine peoples of the commonly known as the Western Hemisphere, including, but not limited to, the Americas and surrounding islands being of sound mind, body, and spirit, reserve all rights to self-govern to the best of our ability without the need for regulation, obstruction, oversight, or harassment from the governing bodies. We will operate as a responsible, autonomous nation, and all treaties, trade agreements, tariffs, etc., thereof on our land must be approved by us alone. No exceptions. Article 4. We, as the original and Aborigine peoples of what is commonly known as the Western Hemisphere, reserve all rights to travel anywhere and any time of our choosing within the Western Hemisphere without obstruction, harassment, corporate identification, or citizenship of any state-sponsored territories. No exceptions. Article 5. We, as the original and Aborigine peoples, have been subject to what is commonly known as paper genocide or paper terrorism by the U.S. state, local governing bodies, and their affiliate Masonic partners' orders, i.e., policy writers, enforcers, and other corrupt actors. We will no longer accept your aggressive and, in most cases, detrimental paper, computer rulership in all of its forms. We are the original free peoples of the land, aka the first Americans. We are not and will not be your citizens nor property in any form, assaulting and attacking our people on an individual or group basis by anyone, including your citizens, your policy enforcers, or any of your corporate partners or affiliates will be considered a hate crime and will be dealt with as such. No exceptions. Article 6. All Aborigine, man, woman, or child have a natural right to protect themselves in any circumstances, and any attempt to deny this right will be dealt with in the most severe manner possible unless deemed otherwise by the appropriate council. No exceptions. Article 7. No Aborigine man, woman, or child will be enumerated, taxed, or brought into any other judicial or administrative body other than an Aboriginal council. No exceptions. Article 8. No Aborigine man, woman, or child are part of any so-called sovereign citizen or extremist group or movement of any kind, and any attempt by any individual, group, organization, or governmental agency to connect us to any will be considered a hate crime and defamation. No exceptions. Article 9. All Aborigine men, women, and children are free, born living beings and cannot be considered, identified, or treated as property or dead by the U.S. government or any other entities anywhere on land, air, or body of water. No exceptions. Article 10. No Aborigine men, women, and children can be used as debt or collateral by the U.S. government or any other entities anywhere on any land, air, or body of water. No exceptions. Article 11. We, as the original and Aborigine peoples of the so-called Americas, retain all rights to any and all resources that we deem necessary to sustain life, liberty, and the development of our people in any and all regards without obstruction, harassment, or oversight by any entity other than an Aboriginal council. No exceptions. The first.
Okay, that's the Declaration of Reclamation announced by our good sister, Ism is Me 13. Thank you, Chief Holiday and Libra Sun. Ladies, if there's anything you'd like to wrap up with, I know it's been a long time, and Wakita, I know you're still recovering for your health. But Angel, if any of y'all want to wrap up any comments, because I'm going to close out with some musical interludes if you ladies are through for today.
Yes, thank you. And I want to thank Big Dog and Chief Blackfoot and Brother DJ Cuddy, Sister Wakita, you, our beloved Alabama. I give thanks to everyone who made this possible tonight. And see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Thank you for the invitation and the wonderful conversation. We got to keep our spirits up. We got to keep our energy up and move forward. Our baby's depending on us. Our year.
Okay, ladies, I'm gonna wrap up with one final video. So if y'all are going to leave, you can see this on your way out, how they stole our identity.
Paper and $5. What if that theft didn't just change your name, but erased your ancestors, your land, your citizenship, your future? This is not ancient history. This happened in America, in courtrooms, in census offices, on official government rolls. It's called the $5 Indian practice, a system where identity was bought, sold, and weaponized. And the people who paid the price weren't imposters. They were black Native Americans who had lived inside tribes for generations, only to be written out of existence by ink and prejudice. This is the story they never taught you, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. Before the paperwork, before the rolls, before the racial boxes, there were people. Black and Native families lived together long before the United States decided who counted as Indian. They shared languages, married into clans, raised children who knew the land as more than property. In tribes like the Cherokee, Choctaw, Creek, Seminole, and Chickasaw, African ancestry did not automatically mean exclusion. Some were enslaved, some were free, some were both at different times, but they were inside the nations. They hunted together, farmed together, fought wars together.
Imagine the possibilities of sharing your life with a lovely young Asian lady. You could forget about what it feels like being lonely. Instead, you could have a nice walks in the park or picnics or a barbecue on the backyard with your beautiful young life partner. Having good conversations.
Yo, Alabama, what's up?
You, and is always there for you. Hear a good morning from someone you love, a small thing like that just makes your day brighter and happier. Some American men, even in their 60s, bring their dream into reality and connect their lives with the younger ladies from Thailand or the Philippines.
Alabama.
Ladies with strong family traditions, a sense of motherhood, and loyalty to their partner bring warmth, happiness, and fulfillment in the life of a lonely man. And most of these happy couples find each other online within the communities like the one you can join right now by visiting our platform. Our welcoming community is designed to easily.
Their identity wasn't a checkbox, it was lived. And then the federal government arrived with forms. In the late 1800s, the U.S. government wanted land, native land. So they created a solution that sounded legal but functioned like theft: the Dawes Act. It required tribes to list their citizens by name, by blood, by race. Suddenly, identity became paperwork. And here's the problem: the people holding the pens did not believe black people could be native. So when black native families stood in line, they were questioned harder, scrutinized longer, and often denied outright. Meanwhile, white settlers with no native ancestry at all found another way in. For $5, sometimes less, a non-native person could be added to tribal rolls. $5 for an Indian identity. $5 for future land allotments. $5 for inheritance. This wasn't rumor, it was documented. Officials accepted bribes, witnesses lied, records were altered. And while outsiders were written in, black native families who spoke the language, knew the ceremonies, and buried their ancestors on tribal land were written out. Some were marked as freedmen, others were labeled Negro, even when their parents and grandparents were already on tribal rolls. Paper replaced truth. Imagine standing in front of a government agent who tells you you're not Indian enough. Imagine being removed from your own nation because your skin was darker. That erasure didn't just take identity, it took land. Families lost allotments, children lost inheritance, entire bloodlines vanished from records. And once your name was gone from the roll, there was almost no way back. This wasn't a mistake, it was policy. A quiet one, a clean one, a devastating one. And this was only the beginning, because what started as paperwork would soon become something worse. A system that reshaped race, rewrote history, and fractured native nations forever. When the Dawes rolls were created, the government didn't just list people, they sorted them. White officials invented categories that would decide a person's future with a single word: by blood, intermarried white, and then freedmen. If you were black, even if your parents were native, even if your grandparents were chiefs, you were often placed in the freedmen column. That label came with a message: you belong, but not really. Freedmen were considered outsiders inside their own nations. They could live there, work there, fight wars there. But when land, money, and citizenship were divided, they were last in line. Then came another invention, blood quantum. It sounded scientific, objective, fair. It wasn't. Blood quantum reduced identity to fractions: 1/2, 1/4, 1/8. White officials decided how much Indian blood was enough to count. But here's the truth they didn't say aloud. Black ancestry was treated as contamination. A black native with full tribal lineage could be declared less Indian than a white settler with no native culture at all. Blood quantum didn't protect tribes, it shrunk them. Every generation, fewer people qualified. Every generation, more land became available. And the government knew exactly what it was doing. Inside native communities, families were torn apart, not by war, not by choice, but by paperwork. One sibling listed as Indian by blood, another marked freedman. Same parents, same home, different futures. Children watched cousins inherit land while they inherited nothing. Elders who spoke the language fluently were told they didn't belong. And when people protested, they were told, it's not personal, it's just the record. But records are written by people, and people brought prejudice with them. This was identity theft, slow, legal, and devastating. Some black native families fought back. They gathered documents, witness statements, church records, oral histories passed down for generations. They went to court. But the courts trusted paper over people. If your name wasn't on the right roll, your story didn't matter. Judges ruled that tribes had the right to define citizenship, even when that definition was shaped by racism and coercion. So families lost cases, lost land, lost recognition, and slowly the silence grew.
I couldn't believe these shocking facts about women and money. Get this, women...
By the early 20th century, the damage was done. Millions of acres transferred, tribal wealth redistributed, Black Native Americans erased from official history. Their descendants would grow up hearing, "You're not really Native," not from strangers, but from institutions, from schools, from courts, from tribes pressured to survive inside a system designed to fracture them. But this story doesn't end in silence, because memory survived where paperwork failed, and the fight to reclaim identity was only beginning. When Black Native families were erased from the rolls, someone else took their place. Land didn't disappear, it changed hands. Acres that had sustained families for generations were suddenly reassigned to people whose only connection to Native identity was a signature and a bribe. Oil was discovered, timber was harvested, railroads expanded, and wealth followed the names that appeared on paper. Some white families went from poverty to prosperity overnight, not because they built something, but because they were written in while others were written out. This wasn't accidental. It was a transfer of wealth, quiet, legal, and devastating. The consequences didn't stop in 1907. They echoed. Children grew up without land that should have been theirs. Grandchildren inherited stories instead of property. Entire bloodlines lost access to education funds, health services, and political voice inside their own nations. Meanwhile, families who benefited passed land down like heirlooms, never questioned, never challenged. By the time America reached the mid-20th century, the gap was set. Not by effort, not by merit, but by paperwork. And history books stayed silent. It's important to understand this truth. Many tribes didn't want to exclude freedmen. They were forced into it. Federal funding, land recognition, and political survival were tied to compliance with U.S. definitions. If tribes resisted, they were punished. Resources were withheld. Authority was challenged. Treaties were threatened. So tribes faced an impossible choice: protect kinship and tradition or protect survival. That pressure fractured nations from the inside, and the government watched, knowing division made control easier. Despite everything, memory refused to die. Families preserved oral histories, names, places, ceremonies, lineages. Church records survived fires, Bibles recorded births, photographs told stories the rolls denied. Descendants began comparing notes, asking questions, challenging records. They discovered patterns, entire Black Native communities missing from official history. This wasn't coincidence, it was erasure. And once people saw it, they couldn't stop looking. Today, descendants are fighting back, in courts, in tribal councils, in archives. They're not asking for charity, they're demanding recognition. Because identity is not something you can buy for $5, and history is not owned by those who wrote the forms. This story isn't about the past alone. It's about who gets to belong, who gets remembered, and who decides the future. And now that you know, the erasure doesn't get the last word. By the late 20th century, descendants began to push back, not quietly, not politely. They filed lawsuits, petitions, appeals. Black Native Americans returned to courts with boxes of evidence, church records, birth certificates, family Bibles, oral histories passed down like sacred maps. They weren't asking for favors, they were demanding correction. But once again, they faced the same wall. If it's not on the roll, it doesn't count. History had become a locked door, and the key was still paper. Then science entered the conversation. DNA testing began revealing what families had always known: lineages tied directly to native nations, bloodlines stretching back centuries. But instead of closing the case, DNA complicated it. Some tribes rejected genetic evidence, arguing identity wasn't biology, it was culture and citizenship. Others feared reopening wounds they were never allowed to heal. The question became explosive. Who decides who belongs? Science, tradition, or a government record written under coercion?
The more you stay home, the less you want to leave. And the more you stay, the heavier everything feels. You think you're...
Citizenship is power. It determines voting rights, land claims, federal funding, and representation. So identity debates grew heated. Some tribal members feared that expanding roles would dilute sovereignty. Others argued sovereignty means choosing truth over erasure. Meanwhile, black native descendants stood in the middle, told they were too native for America, but not native enough for tribes, a paradox created by policy, a wound created by history. Denial isn't abstract. It affects healthcare access, education benefits, burial rights. Some families couldn't bury elders in ancestral cemeteries. Others were denied language programs meant to preserve culture. Imagine being told you can honor the past but not participate in it. That kind of rejection doesn't fade, it compounds. And for many descendants, it felt like erasure happening again, this time in the present. Still, the fight continues. Grassroots groups organize, archivists digitize forgotten records, young people learn names their textbooks ignored. The story is no longer hidden. It's debated, challenged, researched. Because once people realize their identity was stolen, they don't stop asking questions. And the truth, once uncovered, has a way of demanding space. To understand why this happened, you have to confront a hard truth. The erasure wasn't a side effect, it was the goal. America was built on land, and land required a story that justified taking it. If native nations were portrayed as vanishing, their land became easier to claim. If black people were framed as outsiders everywhere, their rights became negotiable. Black Native Americans challenged both myths at once. They proved black people belonged to this land and that native nations were live, complex, and interconnected. So the simplest solution was to erase them. Not with violence alone, but with paperwork. Once the roles were set, textbooks followed. Students learned about 5 civilized tribes without learning who was excluded. They learned about native removal, but not about internal divisions created by U.S. policy. They learned about African American history, but rarely where it intersected with native nations. The $5 Indian practice never made the curriculum. Why? Because it exposed something uncomfortable. That racism wasn't just social, it was administrative. And administrations don't like to teach their own crimes. Courts deferred to records. Universities deferred to courts. Museums deferred to donors. Each institution pointed to another, creating a loop of denial. Meanwhile, families were told, prove it. But proof was locked in archives they weren't allowed to access. Documents sat in boxes, untranslated, uncatalogued. Silence became policy. And the longer the silence lasted, the easier it was to pretend the problem didn't exist. But history has a weakness. It leaks. Stories passed down at kitchen tables survived fires, floods, and removals. Names whispered to children outlasted ink. Photographs hidden in drawers outlived official narratives. And when descendants began to connect across states, tribes, and surnames, a pattern emerged. This wasn't isolated, it was systemic. And once people saw the pattern, they realized they weren't alone. This isn't just about the past, it's about who gets to define belonging today. When identity is controlled by paperwork alone, history can be rewritten by those in power. But when memory, evidence, and truth converge, the record can change. Acknowledging Black Native Americans doesn't weaken Native sovereignty, it strengthens it by rooting it in truth instead of erasure. And the question America must answer is simple. Will the story stay buried, or will it finally be told whole?
What was stolen wasn't just land. It was belonging. When Black Native Americans were erased from the rolls, they lost more than acres and resources. They lost the right to say, "This is where I come from." Children grew up without knowing why their families had no land while neighbors did. Elders carried the shame of rejection for something they never chose. And generation after generation was forced to explain their existence to a country that created the confusion. This was not collateral damage. This was the cost of an American system that decided some identities were inconvenient. America loves simple stories. Black history here, Native history there. But real history is messy. It overlaps, intertwines, refuses neat categories. Black Native Americans expose a truth the nation still struggles to face, that race, identity, and belonging were shaped by policy, not nature. The $5 Indian practice wasn't just corruption, it was an attempt to control memory. Because if people remember who truly belongs to the land, power shifts. Remembering is dangerous to systems built on erasure, because once people reclaim their past, they begin to question the present. Why some families inherited wealth and others inherited silence? Why paperwork carries more authority than lived history? Why justice is still filtered through records written in bad faith? Truth disrupts comfort, and that's why it was buried. But the future is not written in ink. It's written by people who refuse to disappear. Young descendants are learning names that were crossed out. Communities are rebuilding connections that paperwork tried to sever. Archives are opening. Stories are being told. History is being challenged. This is not about rewriting the past. It's about correcting it. So here's the question America must answer. If identity was stolen for $5, what is the truth worth now? Because history doesn't end when it's hidden, it waits. And every time a forgotten name is spoken, every time a record is questioned, every time a descendant says, erasure loses. Memory finally begins to come home.
And they basically created a cabinet where
Still with me, sister?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, I'm having some. I think my computer is burning up. So much time and effort. It's actually crazy. My mouse is not working. Is there anything else you wanted to wrap up with? Anything else you want to share?
Yes, just one last. This is the book. Who are you calling Black? A demand to end the genocide of Aboriginal Americans. Let's get on the same page. Thank you, everyone. Peace and power.
Thank you, my sister. I'm gonna close out with some music. We're trying to get my computer to act right. Just a second here.
Yeah. Y'all thought I was done. Now we just getting started. This is a tease, introduction to the basic soul. From the east coast to the west, watch the movement unfold. First, I like to give thanks to the family for the growth. But this is what happens when we spread love and increase the rank. Truth is the oath.
Old dude on the mic, wisdom in his voice like a scroll. Wild savage on the beat, taking back control of the whole scope. Nate Bear dropping science, aboriginal, Israelite knowledge in the flow. Roger W, steady building straight smoke, keep the fire low, watch it glow. From the ground up, we manifested this unity, ain't no surprise. Ay. King of higher self, speaking peace, seeing through material lies. Ay. Got his dear fluff, bringing light, jazzy with the harmony and the vibe.
Most of the people who
Blending the hill in the mix, ensuring that the whole collective stays alive. Yeah, this is the camaraderie 2.0. Louder than before, we gon' let them know. Slamming down the door, demanding, slamming down the door. Demanding some more, I'm in some more. Live and learn on the track, every lesson paid for with sweat and with tears. Yeah, we ain't just making noise, we conquering the fears of the past years. Yeah, camaraderie, family, synergy, that's the only way to be. From the concrete jungle to the highest peak. Yeah, we set the people free. Yeah, used to walk the streets alone. Now my squad is thick and deep. Every single member holds a code. Promise says we gotta keep. From the cypher to the studio, the energy is pure, the intention is clean. Pushing back against the darkness, showing them what a true collective means. No fake handshakes, no backstabbing, just genuine respect and loyalty. We sharing resources, sharing knowledge, building up a royalty. They try to divide us, try to conquer, but the foundation's concrete now. We elevate the frequency, watching every seed we plant and start to sprout. Yeah, this is the camaraderie 2.0. Louder than before, we gon' let them know. Slamming down the door, then slamming down the door. Demanding something more, demanding something more. Live and learn on the track, every lesson paid for with sweat and with tears. Yeah, we ain't just making noise, we conquering the fears of the past years. Yeah, camaraderie, family, synergy, that's the only way to be. From the concrete jungle to the highest peak. Yeah, we set the people free. Check the blueprint, check the motive, check the heart behind the sound. This ain't manufactured hype, this is movement on sacred ground. We unified, energized, ready for the next level leap. Planting seed of consciousness while the competition sleeps. Camaraderie 2.0, that's the title, that's the truth we hold inside. We ride together, we fight together, nowhere left for us to hide. Peace, yeah, peace to the family. Yeah, we in this together.
Our struggle is constantly and continuously against the oppressor and against all in us, which is in contradiction to our values and the choice we've made.
We out.
Question must be asked of the youth. Who are you?
Can I help you? Yeah, I came to reclaim my birthright.
peace, this is Mayday. Hear the call, no play, they got the mic check. 1, 2, making sure the message stays straight. This ain't a game, this is closing the ranks. Let's give thanks to the ancestors standing firm upon these ancient riverbanks. A TEP production, yeah, you know the sound and the heat. Camaraderie is the currency, success is tasting so sweet. Who are we? Where are we? Are we where we need to be? Still rooted in the soil, indigenous, we never deflate. Closing the ranks, gotta unify the whole fam. Stronger together, that's the powerful battle plan. From the soil, from the land, yes, we're taking our stand. Unity's the bomb, more potent than any quicksand. Well, closing the ranks, hear the rhythm, feel the vibration. Protect the culture, the mind, the future of the nation. We were born free, not enslaved, understand the history. Reclaim the narrative, break the chains of false mystery. Nasir said make it plain, so the understanding is broad. Demons came with tricknology, their doctrines are flawed. Troublemakers of the earth, mental sodomies, the method, warmongering thieves. Where they step, everything shredded, the shedding the blood. They delight wherever they arrive, leaving massive voids, destroying everything that was alive. Reclassification scheme, a tactic to steal a terrain from aboriginal, indigenous to Negro, back and forth again. In 1 century, they tried to erase our foundation. From black to African American, confusion across the whole nation. But the wise men spoke truth, that shit in the deep stone. Our unity, one voice can never be overthrown. More powerful than atomic bomb, that's the calculation. Let's unite right now, fulfill the true spiritual obligation. Closing the ranks, gotta unify the whole fam. Stronger together, that's the powerful battle plan. From the soil, from the land, yes, we're taking our stand. Unity's the bomb, more potent than any quicksand. Closing the ranks, hear the rhythm, feel the vibration. Protect the culture, the mind, the future of the nation. We were born free, not enslaved, understand the history. Reclaim the narrative, break the chains of false mystery. No more division, only precision, power in the vision. We rise as one, no ranks, close the mission complete. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da.
Can I help you? Yeah, I came to reclaim my birthright.
If you're still with us, big dog, I think I'm gonna sign out with one last thing for the folks in the audience and the camaraderie with Enemies Public. I'm sorry I don't have Drake Hobbs for the wind up, but when I get through with this, self-indigenization don't have nothing to do with the American. There can be only one.
Yo.
Hands up in the air, unified and bold. Shoulders locked tight, stories untold. This is the camaraderie, the brotherhood flow. We all stand in that for the people we know.
Field Marshal Brother Nasir, never back down. Talk your talk media, word spreads around town. Big dog, Philly OG, wisdom in his bark. Big aboriginal power, lighting up the dark. He Norfolk on the line, speaking truth through the static. Open to knowledge, mind sharp, automatic. Church the realest with that unbreakable stance. Bro Sanchez bringing light, giving minds a chance. Dangerous music, Drake Cobbs on the sound, DJ Cuddy spins it. Our anthem hits the ground, T wriggles, Dulcinea. Voices join the crowd, smoke signal in the air, make the ancestors proud.
We all stand, we all rise, act for our people, open up our eyes, linked by legacy, forged in the fire. This is camaraderie, we lift each other higher. We lift each other higher.
Supreme Chief Holiday, guiding with honor. Voodoo Child channel spirit, the feeling gets stronger, no one left behind. Every name is a torch, lighting freedom's path. As we move off the porch, every voice different, but the heart's the same. We paint our own future, signing with our names. Forged by the struggle, united by the fight. One dream, one people, together in the light.
We all stand, we all rise, act for our people, open up our eyes, linked by our legacy, forged in the fire. This is camaraderie, we lift each other higher. Hands clasped in a circle, ancestors hear the call. Past, present, future, together we won't fall. From the roots in the soil to the stars in the sky, voices echo strong, let the unity fly. We all stand, we all rise, act for our people, open up our eyes, linked by our legacy, forged in the fire. This is camaraderie, we lift each this is camaraderie. We stand side by side.